Hello, and welcome to Scuttlebutt, the War Movie Review Podcast. We're happy to have you with us as we take a look at films from the dawn of cinema to today. We aim to provide a raw and unapologetic review of each film's cinematography, historical accuracy, and delivery. In the process of analysis, certain details will be revealed. These spoilers are only divulged to ensure a fair assessment of each film. We head into the heart of the surplus arms market this week with Andrew Niccol's 2005 black market epic, Lord of War. As always, I'm joined by Mike A.
Hello.
Mike B.
Yes, sir.
Nate.
Mike B went and took a piss. I was going to make fun of that, but now he's back, so never mind.
And this week's special guests, Seth and Cruz.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you for having us on.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. This is awesome.
Well,
I'm glad to be here.
It's it's definitely one of the funner movies we've reviewed. So,
Well, it fits very well with kind of what we do. We're not international arms traders, but
yet
we do trade regular old surplus. So
Put that caveat there, yeah. Yeah.
imagine the movie, but just with surplus.
I want a Connex container full of AK-74 magazines by my house tomorrow. Can you do that?
Yeah, you and me both. Bro.
Okay.
wait in line.
No, I want to build a wall of them around my property. We're
gonna build a wall.
Yes.
It's gonna be a great wall.
Well, it's funny, Brian, that you say this is one of the more fun movies we've watched. I would say yes, but in a very depressing way.
Well, they try to.
It's a very dark
right?
subject.
Well, as we'll get to. But anyway, so what'd you guys think?
I would say on the terms of fun, I think how Brian's saying is that it's not walking through canals of shit in fucking like
Right, yeah.
World War II.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not trudging across, in boots and shit, yeah.
Last time we saw Jared Leto, he was in a much different state of mind than we see him in this movie. So.
What have we watched anything with him in it?
Thin Red Line.
Oh right.
Yeah, he's one of the many forgettable people.
His great performance of not saying a single word and dying. Just that's like the extent of his acting career. I think that was the peak.
Yeah. Well, I guess I guess I can talk about because I'd never seen this movie before. I think some people here, I think had seen it before. This is my first time seeing it, and I was always kind of, let's say, hesitant to see it, but I was always kind of not interested because I'd see things like some of the trailer, and I saw like slick suits and girls in bikinis and stuff. I'm like, is this like Fast and Furious or something? Like, what is this? It was kind of confusing me the way it looked. But then I watched it, and very interesting movie. It felt very Scorsese-ish to me. It was like watching The Wolf of Wall Street or Goodfellas or Casino. It's like with the narration and the time periods and and all that stuff. But I thought it was very interesting. It had a lot of great stuff in it that I found very interesting. A lot of great dialogue. Nicolas Cage, you never know what you're going to get with him, but I thought he was very good in this movie. So yeah, I was very surprised. It was not what I was expecting. It got very deep in some parts that I was very surprised by.
You're used to it's you. You were the Rocket Man. You're used to those lines, aren't you, with Nick Cage?
Yeah, that's what you never know what you're gonna get. Sometimes you'll get a face-off. Sometimes you'll get Matchstick Men.
I'm a vampire.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll get what is that movie called? Vampire in New York or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But sometimes you'll get that. Yeah, sometimes you'll get Leaving Las Vegas, which he won an Oscar for, and rightfully so. I love that movie. Yeah,
I'm a fucking retard, man. You think I'm a retard? Huh?
What movie is that? That's where he has like the weird hair. Like,
that's when he's got like the
fuck Mexico.
Yeah, fucking yeah.
Yeah, the mustache. Yeah.
It's that scene where he walks into a bar and just goes, "Fuck." Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what movie that is.
I've never seen that one, but where he looks like that. But no, I thought it was actually very interesting. Touching on a subject that is very controversial, obviously, and I don't agree with this guy with his way of living, but it again, like a Scorsese movie, it's the bad guy is the protagonist, so it's not really about an arc necessarily. It's more of a spectacle and like a an exploration into who this guy is. So I thought it was very good. So yeah, I did enjoy it a lot.
It's probably one of the few like early 2000 movies where it's like that's like a pinnacle of the genre for me. I'll launch into mine, I guess, real quick going off of that. Like I this is one of the few movies that I had on DVD on my mini like little DVD player, because I like that's how old I am at this point. And I had like a little screen, and I was like, I would go on like trips, and like it was like this movie, oh god, Wind Talkers, and there's a theme here. It's not Nick Cage, but it was
Face
that,
Off.
and it was like another movie I can't, or Mask of Zorro. And I'd watch those three movies like on repeat, like on, because I was constantly on like car ride trips for a lot of my childhood. And it was really interesting because I haven't seen this in probably about 10 years, because I definitely overwatched it when I was a teenager, and it still really holds up. The whole story, I think, is just, it's not like out there. It's good. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it doesn't blow me away, the story. It's just a very interesting subject with a very interesting form of getting the story across through narration. Like, you wouldn't expect that to be like something to hold you to it. Like, I feel like I'd be bored by 2.5 seconds if it was like a Paul Gross film with narration. I would like, hate myself. But the point is like, this felt really, the delivery system of it felt really, really good. And that whole like opening sequence is just phenomenal as always. And it's very, very interesting to be in the line of the field I'm in for my line of work, and knowing how that is actually filmed and how that actually was done. It's very interesting how they were able to kind of compile everything together over the years. The CG doesn't hold up anymore.
I thought that during that when it showed the casing getting made, I'm like, ooh, that is very shiny.
Ooh, that is Shrek quality right there.
It's like watching the the Star Wars prequels today.
Yeah. But it's still like the way the concept of it is very unique, and I think that is definitely something that unfortunately I try not to copy. Like, without realizing it. Like, a lot of my great ideas of stuff like that, like recently I've been like, oh, I could do it. Like, no, don't do it like the casing in Lord of War. Don't do it like that. But yeah, no, the movie still holds up really well, but I'll pass the torch off. Who wants to jump in?
I have a few things to say about this movie. I definitely like Nick Cage more than Jared Leto. Jared Leto sucks.
As a person or his character?
Both. And his acting career. I don't like him, but sorry, Jared Leto, if you're listening to this, go fuck yourself. But no, I agree with you, Nate, in that it's sort of, there's a lot of movies that are sort of like it, but not really. Like, it sort of touches on a subject that not a lot of people talk about and don't really understand, and honestly is rampant right now with the war in Ukraine. There's a lot of black market firearms and weapons systems that are being traded around, and there's a lot of guys like this that exist. People see all these movies from back in the day, and they say like, oh, that stuff happened, but it's not happening anymore. Like, it's, especially with just like a lot of clandestine stuff, like a lot of spy movies that came out back then, like that's going on right now. It's going on in Ukraine. Ukraine's the testing ground for all the new weapon systems and all this crazy shit that's going on. But what you also have is you have a lot of like organized crime going on within the ranks of, militaries that are involved in the. I'm not going to go into specifics and get into politics, but it does happen quite a bit. So it's interesting to watch this movie and see that, because a lot of the weapons that are currently being used in these modern conflicts are weapons from the Cold War. And you can see that the actual guy that the movie's based on, he got swapped in a prisoner exchange, and he's back in Russia now. So, it's just kind of interesting to see how all that unfolds over time and just how it's still just as prevalent today as it was back then. So,
Oh, isn't that who we traded for
the
WNBA
basketball
player.
for the basketball?
Yes.
Yes.
Good stuff. Good trade.
Yeah.
Good trade.
Yeah. Even and fair,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Great trade.
Best trade ever in the history of the world.
It's the best
Anyway.
trade ever. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Good deal.
We'll stay away from that subject, but
I
yeah.
was about to say, you want to go down that rabbit hole in the middle of this movie review?
Nope.
No, but I 100% agree with you, Peter, on all that. And it's very interesting looking at this almost 20 years later. And it's just like, oh God, I just aged. I
know,
felt
it was
myself
depressing,
aged.
wasn't it, to think about?
Oh my God, just in the mental arithmetic, and I just aged. Ugh.
It's like one of those core movies, and any sort of, especially Eastern Bloc military enjoyers, there's like a few movies that I would say is on the required watching if you're involved in any sort of way. And I think Lord of War is one of, if not the main one, when it comes to anything AK related. I think it was really a pivotal moment in film. And just once you get into the logistics behind how they filmed the movie, it's really a whole fascinating story on its own. But I think if there was like a short list of 3 or 4 films that anybody involved in the type of things that I like in Eastern Bloc collecting, it's up there at the top.
I don't think I've ever seen that many AKs on a rack ever in my life. So,
I think there were 3,000 in the film.
I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, some of them are real, and then I think I don't know if they all were real. That would be a wonderful thing I should have dived in on.
So I can actually tell you this because, like I said, there's this few topics in the movie that really strike out to people who are really into the collecting. So there were 3,000 AKs on the film, and they're real. It was cheaper to buy real ones for the film than it was to either have fake ones made or to rent fake ones. What they did is they bought real ones from an arms dealer, who then resold them back to the arms dealer right after filming, obviously for slightly less, so the guy made a profit off of just renting them. But they actually legally bought them. Same with the scene of the tanks. It was filmed in the Czech Republic, and they actually had a time limit on how long they could use them for because they were actually going to Libya. So they had these tanks for a certain amount of time before they were shipped off to Libya, so they had to get the filming done. And not only that, they had to inform, I believe it was NATO, because on the satellite images of that filming location, it would display like this massive buildup of military equipment in like the Czech Republic, and that would set off warning bells. So it was funny that, the stuff that they used for the movie was real, and to the scale that they were able to do it is mind-blowing, in my opinion.
Fascinating.
I remember, I can't remember who I watched, but someone did a breakdown of that scene. There's a couple of Type 1s in there too, like on the racks and stuff like that, and like a bunch of things like that. I mean, it's just like you see numbers on like a piece of paper, but it doesn't. You can't like picture 3,000 AKs until you see 3,000 AKs. Like it's
Exactly.
really interesting.
Exactly. I don't know if you saw the pictures of the U.S. Navy seized like an Iranian vessel, and they laid out like 5,000 AKs that they had seized off this vessel all on the deck of the ship. And it's just endless AKs for as long as you can see. And it's kind of the same thing. It's just that many AKs in one place, and that they were able to do it with real AKs instead of like cheap rubber produced Hollywood replicas.
Now, are we talking about that warehouse where it's just like A2s piled up like as far as you can see?
Well,
Because
I don't
that's
know
what I
about the
remember.
A2s, but I do know when they're walking through. Yeah, so that was definitely a big part of it, and that definitely was real based off of history, but I don't know if those were
The
actual.
the scene that we're talking about,
that.
Mike, is the scene where he goes to his uncle and they're inspecting all the Soviet Union stockpiles.
Okay,
They walk through the armor. They walk through like the bunker, and it's just
Yep.
like racks and racks of AKs.
of VZ-58s, not AKs.
Was it VC?
Well, no. Here's
58s,
here's
or
the thing,
was it-
Mike. Is like they. I'll interject a little bit right here. Is the Czechs were or Czechoslovakian military was issued AKs from the Soviet Union, right? They didn't like them for whatever reason. They always had a problem with Soviet engineered shit. And this is just speculation, but my speculation would be they got all these things in probably the 50s or early 60s, and they just let them sit and they came out with their VZ-58 and then used those. And then that's why these things were just sitting. But this is also Ukraine.
Right.
In the film, right? But like which would also be realistic, but like where they were filming in Czech Republic at that point, they could have had an entire warehouse full of AKs that were completely unused because they said fuck that, we're going to VZ-58 and okay, we have them use the same ammo, different mags, but like yeah. And so
They are Mike A is correct though. They are VZ-58s in the armory scene, but
The stock is the back stock.
Okay.
Back.
Yes, yes.
That's what I was remembering. I couldn't remember, but even that's impressive though.
Oh, yeah.
VZ-58s, thousands of VZ-58s.
Yeah, 3,000
well, it's actually not that big
VZ-58s
of a
is
number.
insane.
Like if you
Yeah.
think about, because Czechoslovakia during the Cold War was basically one of the quote unquote buffer countries
Speed bump.
if
for
World War III was going to
Soviets.
kick off, right? The Czechoslovakians didn't like that situation, I guess, to begin with, and so they probably stockpiled a bunch of shit, but they rarely fielded it. They didn't like to do, field exercises and shit. Like they were one of the quote unquote problem countries of the Soviet Union because they were a quote unquote satellite country, and I don't know how the hell they did those scenes, but like it's pretty accurate, you know.
The ones that I was blown away by is those where it's just like
The T-72s.
well, no, it's just like M16s and whatever. They're just like thrown
Yeah,
on
yeah,
top of
the
each other. They're
piles,
just
yeah.
like piled up, yeah. And
All right,
it's like,
yeah.
I mean, that's probably all a bunch of rubber props, but yeah, still like a sight to behold when you see something like
But
that.
again,
you know?
the U.S. has been in Europe since World War II,
right.
and it's like so. And that they did specify that in that scene. They go, and it's the same today, and it's bullshit. It would cost more to ship them all back and whatever than to just produce more shit. And that's why we left shit. Again, not getting political. I'm just stating facts. We left shit in Afghanistan, Iraq, everywhere that we fucking go. It's cheaper to just leave it there and just get more shit made, apparently, according to the powers that be, than to pay to have it shipped back. And that's why you would probably see these big piles of M16A2s just thrown about, you know?
Yeah, so there's actually a term, I think it's a more recent term, but it's a whole phenomenon around the US leaving gear everywhere. I heard a Ukrainian friend of mine refer to them as bush markets, where outside the back of the military bases, they just have markets with all this U.S. gear that had been surplus. A buddy of mine in Kyrgyzstan, he got his start into surplus by selling surplus U.S. boots in Kyrgyzstan because we had a base there. And when we were leaving or circling out, they just dumped them on the local markets rather than dealing with them. Same thing in even Germany and Ukraine and stuff like that. All over the world where the U.S. has been, it's just cheaper for them to offload them on the local surplus market than it is to bring them back. And that even goes to gear, not even just guns, but field gear, helmets, boots, stuff like that.
Really quick, I'm gonna just do my my intro kind of thoughts and everything, and then we'll let Brian do that, and then we'll go in because this is a really good talk, but we do need to kind of do this thing, which we always do, is like the intro thoughts and everything on the film. And then we'll circle back definitely to this conversation because it's extremely relevant to the film and the film review. So initial thoughts. Like Nate said, I saw this thing back in, it wasn't right when it came out, but I think I actually saw it in Iraq when I was there. and I was going through a movie binge, and it was amazing. And I saw it, and it I don't really like a lot of Nicolas Cage movies, just because I don't know if he's been casted wrong or whatever. It's not my thing. Nothing wrong with him, I guess, but like whatever. And anyway, in this particular instance with this film, his performance was great. And Seth, I disagree with your analysis of Jared Leto in this particular film.
He was good in this movie. I'll give it to you. I'll give you that one.
Okay, because okay. So, and I'll get into that just briefly, and then we'll let Brian go give his initial thoughts, and then we'll get back to the conversation. No, I thought it was extremely well acted, because to me, Nick Cage, honestly, in a lot of roles, seems very wooden and like very like you know what to expect, and like again, I think it's more of the casting than it is his ability to perform as an actor. But in this one, you need somebody like that to be a wooden kind of I don't give a shit. Even if my life's falling apart, I don't give a flying fuck because I'm making money, you know, kind of thing. And I think he fucking nailed that. And Jared Leto also played this like really troubled brother of his. He loves his brother, and obviously that's why the film ends the way it does, is because his brother gets killed. He loves his brother, but he also understands, okay, he's got massive substance problems, and that's going to be a liability for me and whatever and blah blah blah. And I think Jared actually played that pretty fucking well. Like when he goes into the hotel in Liberia, and Jared's sitting there and he's like making a fucking map of Ukraine with cocaine. It's like, it's a bit of a problem.
He has lots of practice.
Right. And that's the thing is, right. Well, no,
I was going to say
in
that.
all seriousness, like that's what made it like believable. It sold it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's like he was just coked out of his fucking mind. He was losing his mind, but it was so believable. And then his brother's like, oh, whatever. Okay, so with that, and then all of the deals that he's doing, the way he's again wooden, is good, because that's how you need to be if you're going to be dealing with people like he was dealing with. And yeah, like Mike A said earlier, like it's fucking depressing. It really is. Like when you think about it, like, but he just tries to put it out of his mind until the shit happens with his brother, and then he's like, oh, this is too close to fucking home. And he just kind of gives up. Overall, I like this film as a teen, and I like it now still. It does hold up, like you said, Nate. And so, yeah, I do quite like this, even if it's just loosely based on a person or a couple things. So, yeah. Anyway, Brian, what's your initial thoughts? Or, sorry, Nate?
No, that's what I was gonna say. Is that let's let Brian get in finally. And I do want to say that the cinematography in this film, like kind of like what Mike A said about Scorsese kind of feeling.
Yes.
It has a lot of that feeling, and I just watched The Departed after this, and I will say it is very similar in terms of some of its shots.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that you said that, Mike.
Yeah,
that's what
that just hit me.
That's what I was thinking the whole time.
Well, there's that scene in The Departed where he has the Jesus frame, and it's like the guy wakes up and then he smashes it on his head. Like, I love that shot. There was a lot of that kind of feeling, but there's a lot of intense angles. Anyway, Brian, sorry, go. That's on me.
No, I
That's
have
on
to
me.
agree
Go
that
ahead.
you guys bring some interesting points about the Scorsese aspects of it and how it's shot and everything. I will totally double down on the fact that Jared Leto is a horrible cast for this movie, and he barely got his way through it. I really didn't enjoy his performance at all. Yes, he's good at being a cokehead, but that's because he is a cokehead. But I don't know. It's like his Batman performance, or like anything else he does since The Thin Red Line. It's just not that good. But it's just speculative. Luckily, it's only a supportive role, so it didn't tank it. Everything else is cast so fucking well, and there's so many great Easter eggs in this movie. Like, it's interesting, and it's a hard subject to do because it's like, they want to talk about black markets and how cool that can be in a way, but also, the realistic side of it. So I don't know. I feel like his bad acting kind of showed some of the plot points through, but other than that, no, it's a really awesome film. I haven't seen it for probably about 5 or 6 years, and I'm really glad that we're getting into it. But one thing I did want to start out with, and I'll just let it play in the background because, this is something that we're going to talk about for a little bit of time, is the beginning, because it's just fucking awesome. So let me share my screen.
Where was the priming station?
Even from the first line, when
No, I this is one of my all-time. I told Mike this earlier. One of my all-time favorite fucking openings.
Yeah. Just so
really quick, Mike.
good.
To your comment about it's so shiny. Fresh brass is very fucking shiny.
Oh, I know. I'm just like this. I can tell.
This is all computer generated, made.
I think he means more like
CGI.
I think he more means like the rusted ass metal being shiny as well. I think that's what he means.
Like
it's like the Polar Express type of vibes.
Yeah, so that's same age though. Like
yeah, this is the Polar Express right here.
So I wanted to just because us being an audio podcast, it's hard to talk about what we're seeing here currently, but the I'll try to put some stills on YouTube. But the thing is that what's very interesting about the way this is filmed is that this whole box and all the ammo and obviously the one case, that's all CG.
Also, really quick, I'm going to jump in, Nate. I have to interrupt you.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way they would ever put loose ammo in a fucking wooden.
Yeah, in a crate like that. There's no
packaging,
no nothing.
I was gonna say unless it's like
it's two spam
Czech
cans.
Republic.
It's two spam.
Yeah,
no, even the Czechs didn't do that. They actually.
No, I know that. No. I was gonna say unless it's like dirty. We surplus. We can't put this ammo in anything because all the boxes fell apart. So we sell it to Americans in a loose tub.
If you watch a lot of Russian combat footage, what they do is they have a guy in the background who opens up the spam cans and dumps all the cardboard into the wood box, and then they go through.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's okay for the
no.
film.
They're definitely going to be in spam cans because they. Yeah. That's the one thing that I bitch about this and the primers.
Other than our proper military etiquette of storage.
Was
of
it
ammo.
88762 to a spam can? Two 880 cans is 16 or what is it? I forget. I think that's what the armament is because it was 1300 or something for 5.5.
No, for 7.6239 it's like 700.
Yeah, 700 per
700 round
can.
cans. It's 1400 per crate.
1400 per crate.
Yeah. Okay, so then
two spam cans. Yep.
So I was just saying is that whole crate scene, that's all one, the crate, the ammo and the single round, that's all CG, and then they're putting everything over a mat, and so they're putting that over that, and so all the interactions, anything that is grabbing that round is CG or moving or whatever. The very interesting thing that I thought was cool was that when the round is rolling about to go off the pier, that's just a camera like in a housing just going around and around and around and around. Or they're rotating a post.
It is a fantastic fucking scene though.
Oh yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, like but that finger CG.
Yeah.
Like
of course,
like all that's all I think. But it's just very interesting to see how they paint this over with live and all that kind of thing.
Well, talk about a hook, for a film. And it's like, okay.
Exactly. And like that's the thing is like it caught me initially when I watched it. You're fucking, I don't know, fucking almost 20. God damn. You're right, Nate.
See, I just did to you too.
Well, damn it.
And of course, it has a great punchline to it, which is that the bullet ends up in a child's head.
Yep.
It's not like it goes into the chest of another mercenary. Or something.
I'll just say this quick. People don't realize how fucking insane the 90s was in Africa, especially like West Africa, Liberia and stuff. A lot of the very good combat photographers, like Steven Junger or whatever it was, the guy that got killed, he was in Restrepo. He cut his teeth in Liberia and like all those West African states that went crazy in the late 90s. It's like people think about today, like, oh, Rhodesia and stuff. And it's like that kept going and then it went up. Like, now there's nobody to support these people and they just have money and diamonds. And yeah, it got really bad. But Africa is just insane. And the fact that they have the crazy fucking Russian pilots. Because that was a thing as well. Like, these guys didn't have a job anymore. So go to Africa and do these crazy fucking things and make a ton of money. Like, I know there's a huge Russian pilot enclave in Uganda that basically built the country.
That's still a thing. They still fly like Soviet era planes, which haven't been updated, have absolutely terrible safety records. They fly them all over Africa. They're literal pieces of junk. And even today, there's a huge population of Russian pilots who basically fly all over Africa.
It's in fucking insane. And that was, back in the day, Vice News did a few good things and they did this awesome thing about that. Like probably around this time this came out and it's fucking so cool. And it's just funny. You look at Russia's influence in Africa today, and it's like they've been there for a long time. Private interest in the beginning, you know. But no, it's a lot of, like I said, there's so many Easter eggs in this movie, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Seth, what do you think about the opening scene?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I think it's a good. I think it was literally the perfect scene to set the stage for what the director was trying to communicate. Because I know, like you said, Mike A, that you thought it was going to be this whole like cocaine and hookers and making tons of money kind of movie, but like it really shows just like because at first I was like I remember when I first saw the movie, I was a little kid, but it first came out and I was like, oh, this is like a cool war movie, and then I saw this and I was like,
Oh
yeah,
God.
I know.
You said little
Yeah,
kid.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, no,
And I was like, wait, why is that child getting shot in the head? And then the movie just kept progressing. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's like doing something horrible. And that sort of led me into the avenue of realizing like, wow, there's some really fucked up shit that goes on in the world. And I think that's exactly what the director was trying to do. And it's literally like the perfect scene. There's other stuff like, oh yeah, the ammo's obviously it should be in those little paper like like
It's just it's semantics. Yeah, it's
It's-
pedantic
and-
shit.
The average
Yeah.
person is not going to have any
Not at
idea
all.
that it's
Anyone
a
that has an
spam
SKS
can.
will know.
Exactly. And like when stuff like that happens in movies, if it's not like super, like obvious that it's like why would the director choose to make it like that when that wasn't the case? Like that's completely historically inaccurate. But if it's like little small stuff like that, like I literally couldn't care less because you have to understand from a filmmaker's perspective is that 99% of people do not give two shits about like details like that. And you want to sell the movie and you want to make a profit, so you just have to, sometimes cut corners like that. And they don't always have the people on set or that are involved in the production that know those small details. They obviously had some great people that knew what they were doing and knew what they were talking about, but so. But yeah, great scene. I love it.
Yeah, great intro.
Which unfortunately it makes it so that if anyone were to do anything like that, they're just like, oh, they just copy Lord of War's intro. Okay.
Right.
Like
Well, it's funny
It's
because
done. It's been had. Yeah.
yeah, and but it's so predominant. Like it's if you see that, it's like that's from that movie. So
Go ahead, Brian.
the
Go ahead.
other like arms movie you get is Dogs of War, which is that.
Is that the Jonah Hill?
what's in that?
War
Watch that.
dogs.
No. So yeah, there's two of them. There's the 1980s
Oh,
one
okay, that was one we
with
watched.
Christopher Walken.
Mhm.
We're going to what's this country?
Yeah, Zingaru was a real place, Brian.
Zingaro. And then fucking there's the other one with who's fucking
Jonah Hill. And,
Jonah Hill.
What's his name?
The other guy who's a great actor. He was in Maverick too.
Is that the guy from Whiplash?
Yeah. Yep. That's the same kid.
Okay.
Yep.
Miles Teller.
Oh, it's him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I can't remember his name. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I've seen clips. Never seen the whole thing. We'll want to see it someday. So go ahead, Brian.
Yes, but that's the other one they have, and that is just that's more of like a stoner comedy in reality, and it holds nothing up to this. But like Nate said, like how are you gonna outdo this? It just comes off so strong. It's like somebody's like, they're giving me funding to make a fucking Black Arms market movie. Let's just fucking and with Nick Cage, like fucking let's do it.
Yeah.
And they really pulled out all the stops and did a great job. The times you have like the agent show up, that's a little annoying. But
Well,
that's the
what-
plot,
Ethan Hawke is a phenomenal. He's
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
He's
actor.
great.
Mhm.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
Really good
Absolutely.
character too.
So,
Mhm.
so Brian, do you think that was unrealistic, or
Well, I don't know. Just for me, I felt like the brother and the cop, Ethan Hawke, they were I don't know, they were just plot points that I know like what they were trying to do, like good and bad, or how they get affected by what Nick Cage is doing in the film. But it just, I don't know, the way that they were doing it just was so overboard where I just could see through it, I don't know. It's
I was just gonna say I do think Ethan Hawke's character's kind of weak. I would rather have is it Leto?
Jared Leto.
His
Jared
brother
Leto.
character.
I wanted to say who's the guy with who's the crimson chin? Jay Leno. That was it. Yeah.
Jay Leno was not in this movie.
Oh fuck!
I kept trying to say that in my head. I'm like, thank you.
But imagine if he
Excellent
was.
reference.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, just imagine.
Buy an AK-47.
You get me for
Yeah,
arms
yeah.
dealership in Liberia, huh? So now let's go. Let's look at the news feed. Huh? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Sorry. So Jared Leto. Like I didn't mind. Like it seems like we have a kind of two camps. We have Jared Leto as a piece of shit. We don't like him in this movie, and we think he's weak. And then then he's okay. I think. I mean, his acting wasn't phenomenal, but I think it does pull the story along. Brian says it's kind of just boring, meandering, pulling the story along. I think it does ground Nick Cage's character, if we talk about the story, a whole lot more than the wife. I don't give a crap about the wife and all that other crap. I understand why, because they're saying like he has to get more money to keep up the facade of that he's this rich billionaire. So I understand the reason for that. But if you told me like, what do I want to watch a movie about? I want to watch a movie about the brother who has a coke problem and the agent more than the wife.
Yeah, I can
That's
see
just
what
me.
you're saying. How the wife character stuff, like it seemed like that was building up towards something much more drastic in the movie, and it's just her walking out the door. You know,
But that is, to be fair, that is drastic.
it is, but I don't know. In the movie, it was just kind of like, oh, blip, that's it.
I think, and then we'll let Brian talk. Is that I think the crescendo is what we were looking for, and it kind of peters out.
I don't dislike the wife stuff, honestly. I just I was interested, like, oh, I see where this is going, but I felt like it the payoff at the very end of that whole story was kind of like, yeah, but it's like it's not gonna kill the movie for me.
Again, like I'd rather, not that I don't like it or don't want it. It's just I'd rather have more other conflicts than that conflict. That's all I'm saying. Brian, go.
You know, again, like if we really want to push buttons here, you know, the everything around the arms dealing in this film is really weak, you know, and it's like they don't touch on it enough where it can really have an effect. Like, you know, Michael was saying, you're building up to this plot point if something's going to happen. Oh my God, he gets arrested. And then it's like his wife leaves him. And then it's like, oh, well, nothing really happens because I'm a pawn of the game and they need me. And it's like, which is interesting. Don't get me wrong. But just, I don't know. It's like what this film has going for it is like just the awesome sets and props and cool things about arms dealing. And then they're like, well, you have to make this more human. And they're like, oh, well, fuck. Like, you're right. Do this, you know? And it's like, it just not delivered enough. I don't know.
That stuff,
you know, doesn't congeal
that stuff,
in my mind.
yeah, I don't know. Like that stuff, I was, again, it's very Scorsese where they set it where it's very sexy, you know, everything is like, it's very alluring and all that stuff. And I kind of liked that a little ways past the halfway mark, it kind of shifted a little bit to where, like, you know, the wife was like, was kind of confronting him with this stuff. I guess, let's have Seth go because I think he has something to say.
Oh no! If you gotta finish what you gotta say, go for it.
No, go ahead.
What I was gonna say is, as far as I know, isn't the actual real life counterpart to Nick Cage's character? Isn't he like an ethnically Russian person who grew up in Russia?
Yeah, it's a guy who got freed.
So I believe so.
The story was based off of what's his face,
the Merchant of
Victor
Death or
Bout.
something.
Yep.
Yeah, Victor Bout.
I didn't understand. That was like, and if they're basing this movie on a real person and they wanted to make this a good movie, I don't know why the fuck you'd want to pick Nick Cage for that. He did a great performance, but I would have rather like there be some cool new actor who's maybe does a convincing Russian accent and can speak fluent Russian, because I don't want to hear a guy talk like this the whole time and be like, you know, da svidaniya, son, I'm going to sell some AKs.
Bratya, yeah. Bratya.
Viva Viagra.
In his defense, his Russian wasn't half.
No,
bad.
it was pretty decent. I think they did take the time to actually teach him like dialect and actual like speaking the language correctly. Not Red Dawn Russian, but you know.
But remember, this is 2005.
Yes.
Okay, so this is height of. We're going off of late 90s, early 2000s Nick Cage height, and you know, put the bunny back in the box. You know, like you're coming off of that era.
It's my favorite movie ever, dude.
Best movie ever. And the thing is that, you know, as much as I you look at that and you go, Nick Cage in a serious drama, you know. But the thing is that would you I'm so happy that they decided just to have Nick Cage be Nick Cage with who knows slightly Russian than like, you know, Nick Cage trying to put on a fake accent. Like then it would be horrible.
Like how he was
like,
fake Italian in Captain Corelli's Mandolin.
I guess it's
Yeah.
kind of a
Right,
Valkyrie
or-
approach, but it's like if you do a Valkyrie approach, you got to commit to the whole thing. You got to have everybody speaking.
Right.
You know.
Right. And the thing is like, think of it. It's 2005. Who the fuck is going to be doing anything Russian in 2005?
Yeah.
Russians are still the bad guys in cinema at this point. So it's like, you know, we're when I put quotation there because it's an audio podcast, not a visual podcast. But the thing is, it's like that's the problem. It's like if I think back to 2005, I can't think of anyone that carries the same Hollywood credentials of pulling people to the theater than Nick Cage. And if Nick Cage is doing a drama that isn't I'm a vampire, then I think we're okay. You know, Brian, go.
Quiz time. What movie came out right before this that Nick Cage was in?
National
So what is he coming off of when he
Ooh,
was
this
in
is,
this?
This is tough, dude.
Ghost Rider.
No, that was 2006.
That's what I was gonna say with Ghost Rider.
That's a hard one, dude, because Nick. He's
in
done
everything,
So many
I know.
fucking movies.
Was it The Knowing or whatever that weird alien apocalyptic
Oh,
movie
God,
was?
that
no,
movie.
that was no.
So
that,
it wasn't.
that was like 09 or
It's
something.
not that. And it's
It's
not
not
Ghost
National
Rider. I'll give
Treasure,
you
is
one
it?
more shot.
Or that came after. It is.
Yes,
Okay, that's
it,
what I
it was
thought.
National
It is.
Treasure.
I
It's
literally fucking just said
Oh.
that, and I was like,
Oh,
Well, I had to give people a little bit of time. I was going to say you were right in a second.
I said, but I
did
did.
too.
I honestly, I
Yeah.
did second
No,
guess.
you were right.
Sorry.
National
I
Treasure.
did second guess
Yeah.
myself.
And then
so-
you thought
yeah.
yourself were wrong.
I thought I was wrong.
Yeah,
so
you
I
were like,
second
"Oh,
guessed
fuck."
myself. That's
Nope.
my bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we have National
Oh,
Treasure,
it's
which
an
is a great
amazing
film.
movie.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
it's-
lie.
it's very fun.
That was a
Yep.
great film. I was the right age
Very
for
fun.
it too,
Yep.
so it was nice. You know, fucking. I went to Philadelphia not too long after that, and I was like, "Do we have a $100 bill?" Like, you know, fuck,
Where's
what do you call
Benjamin
it?
Franklin's bifocus?
you know, 'cause I remember when Ghost Rider came out, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm also
That's a
little
terrible
like,
movie.
Yeah,
that's a
I
terrible.
hear they're
movie.
bringing him back into like some DC universe or whatever.
Deadpool 3.
who gives a shit? Those aren't
Oh
movies.
God.
Mike, yeah, you shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. Shut
Those
up.
aren't movies.
Shut
those
up.
are fucking.
Shut up. Some
are fucking-
3/4 of them can go to hell, but the rest of the quarter is actually good.
Those aren't movies. Those are carnival rides.
You sound like the
So-
midget Scorsese. Okay, all right. Like
Holy fuck.
you got to grow out your
Shots fired.
eyebrows more, and you'll be clones. All right.
I love the first sale he makes.
Oh
like,
yeah,
so
and
into
he's
it,
also
you know?
terrified. He's like,
Like any used car salesman.
it's
you
also
know?
it's a micro Uzi.
the
by
micro
way.
Uzi. Yeah.
I was
Which I
gonna say a
actually-
micro.
yeah.
I was surprised. I thought it'd at least be the collapsing stock one.
Like the actual Uzi. Yeah.
But you know what? That scene really does emphasize the writing in this movie. How many recent war movies have we done? Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
Yep.
How many
Does that fit in the camcorder box?
Yeah.
yes, it will.
Can you fit two of them in there? Yeah.
Yes, you can. They're not that
Didn't you
big.
think the way he put the rounds in it to be odd? He like stacked. They're in like a square. I guess if you felt.
What do you mean?
Like I guess he was putting the rounds in to fill two full mag micro Uzis, and it just was like a square in the middle of the packaging. It was just weird. They were standing up, like they weren't like they were loosely standing up in like a square. It was odd.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, I guess that's just the way
It's just
he-
aesthetic. It's just
it's like a chef. Like their
yeah,
presentation
exactly.
is-
Yeah. If you told me like
presentation
I
is
wouldn't
all
want to
that.
do it that way, but I guess it's if you want to make someone buy something, it's like Brian said, like a used car. You gotta
Exactly.
you gotta
Yep.
slap it. You know, yeah.
He's so into it. There's so many
But-
details. That you
But I
know,
was gonna
and-
say like that scene is the pinnacle of I think the rarity of good writing. In a Nick Cage
Yeah.
film, number one, number two, in a war film, because how, like I said before, Mike sat down, is that how recently, how many war films have we done recently where the writing is just like the line dialogue is just cheesy or bad
God-awful.
or god awful. It's like
Yes,
it
too
was
many to count.
it was nice to have good I would like to say inventive dialogue, because it's just stuff you don't hear that much.
Well, and also Nick in that scene, in that particular scene, like the first sale he made, right, with the micro Uzis, he legitimately looked nervous. So I don't know what the hell happened, like how they got him to do that. But he was like, and the guy points at it and he goes, "You can put this at me," and whatever, with silencers and all that shit. And he does, and it's like your first sale, you get a gun pointed at you with a fucking round in the chamber.
But you can't buy from me again if you shoot me. So
exactly. Yep.
That's a salesman right there.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
It reminded me kind of the Scarface scene when they go do the deal with the Colombians and it goes bad. You know, like how it's so dark and everything. Like I kind of think that was influencing it. You know, and how he was so hyped up to do it. But also it reminds me in a way of Jackie Brown, because you have fucking Samuel L. Jackson being an arms dealer in that. He did such a good job. At one point, he's just like talking about getting M60s from the Desert Storm. He's so hyped up. He's like, "These motherfuckers!" It's like just so into it. So when did this Korean? When did that Korean? It good to go. Sorry,
I said they're gonna Rambo.
Good
Yeah.
Rambo.
One,
right?
2, or 3.
1, 2.
Armor piercing rounds with that.
And I want, and
Yeah,
Mike
right?
A would have been great if he just showed up with a blue light stick. You can go.
It's a blue light.
Yeah,
Turns
it goes blue.
Turns blue.
You had your hand up.
What the hell are we just talking about?
Glow blue.
So yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I distracted you with glow
okay.
blue. So.
No, it's
It
okay. No,
happens
we
all
were
the time.
talking about great writing and all that, and this movie had a lot of great scenes in it that I was very surprised by and like delighted by. I absolutely loved the plane scene where the plane gets dismantled. You know,
Oh, yeah.
that was so good, and the way they did it with the time lapse, that was so cool.
Gun,
and he's just,
grenades, hooray!
well, that part, like that part, yeah. But like right after that, when he sits there and he's like, it's inevitable that people are gonna come and strip this thing within 24 hours, and it just shows the time lapse of it, and it's like it's the law of Africa that like everything eventually just returns to raw form, you know, and it's like, damn, that is fucking, and the way they did it was just great with the time lapse.
And he's sitting there
It was-
cuffed. Yep.
Yep.
Nate?
That's why like you get so many
Yeah.
good Easter eggs. You know, it's like you could just take so many parts of this film and just like, wow, that exists. That's awesome.
Talking about the plane thing, and this was leading into my thought. I was gonna say this, but this is a good lead-in. They do montages really well in this movie.
Yes.
Like one of my favorite things. He's like, he's trying to show the hypocrisy of arms dealing. I'm selling Israeli-made Uzis to Muslims, and it shows the guy all in white, one-handing an Uzi with that really unique
Ronald
angle
Reagan.
with the color and all that. Like it's just really good, and it's like the montages and stuff like that they show through the movie, like the fast forwarding of the plane being just deconstructed, the whole montage of different nationalities buying different arms and that whole thing. It works really well all throughout the movie, and whoever was the cinematographer, I'm gonna look it up when I hand off to Brian real quick. I want to look at the cinematography because I want to see what this guy has also done, because I'd be curious to know if it's any other films that I know. Brian, go ahead.
The angles that they use were great, like especially the scene where they have the AK and it's like almost upside down in a way, but it works perfectly, and like they have the guy, the way they move the magazine before they do the rock and roll, like I don't know, it was like an HGTV ad, but it was filmed very well. Yeah, it's very interesting.
And the first kind of use of slow motion in a film, like actual slow motion in a film, when that Taliban guy's shooting down in Afghanistan and he's shooting in slow motion, you can tell it's a high-speed camera. In early days, high-speed camera because of the light flickering with the framing. Like it's different. It's not just slow rate filmmaking. It's actual high-speed cameras. And in 2005, they were really just starting to kind of use that stuff.
Yeah. So, Chris, what did you think about that whole thing when they were when he was selling up as the Taliban and then like testing him out and shit?
I think it was an interesting scene because it definitely actually happened. Maybe not exactly like that. Like the guy who was based off of I believe he was in the Soviet military at the time. So he wasn't selling to the Taliban. But there were American arms dealers who were selling to the Taliban who ended up becoming, Al Qaeda and all that. And I think it's an interesting scene to add in because a lot of people don't realize the extent of support that we offered to the Mujahideen during the Soviet-Afghan War.
Yes.
It was more than just limited. We had guys on the ground. We were selling them stuff. The Pakistanis were selling them stuff. That's why there's all those pictures of Soviets with M16s and stuff in Afghanistan, because they were able to find those here and there, and they came up with all these different weird trophy weapons just because of the amount of outside weaponry that was being poured into Afghanistan.
It's insane, and it's part of every war. There's a really good book, and I think Seth knows about it. It's called I forget the name, but it's that Chechen War one. It's like the only one that exists.
Which
it's about the
Chechen
first
War?
and second Chechen War.
Yeah, the first and second.
Well, it's about both. The guy was in both of them.
Was it
But fucking.
I think Sean or Sean.
I thought I had it like right here.
Yeah.
But, obviously.
I don't think I ever read it, but I
off the
remember
top of my
Sean
head.
telling me about it like a long time ago.
It's really good. I'll look up the name, but he talks about it. It's just like how just you get to a certain point and everyone just steals. And like soldiers don't have food or they don't have body armor because your officers or their officers sold it. Like you're fucking trading pop flares to the Chechens for marijuana, and then they're using that in ambushes against you that night. Like, it's just the corruption is so rampant.
Well, it circles back to Afghanistan. The Soviet troops were selling ammo to the Mujahideen. And what they would do is they would boil it in water because they thought that if you boil the ammo, it would render it useless when they eventually come back and use it. Because they knew exactly where the ammo was going. They didn't think, oh, these random guys want to use this for hunting. No, these are like 5.45 rounds or whatever. So they were like, okay, let's still sell them and make money, but let's try to do what we can to make them duds or whatever. And I'm not sure how effective that was, if effective at all, but it's been pervasive, especially in the Soviet Russian militaries. Even up to today, I'm seeing a huge amount of guys selling off their gear to the point that it impacted the guys deploying into Ukraine not having gear because it was all sold off by them or their officers.
There was a even friggin' thing with old MSW stuff. They used to like fucking pay guys in GRU units and shit in Russia to like steal stuff from their armories to sell them so they could like use it at their airsoft events in America.
Yeah, well, it was going
Like,
on up
yeah.
until 2021. I mean, even today it's still going on. It's really nothing new, and I find out a lot of people figure out like, oh, where are you getting this? Like, that's so weird, that's so strange. But it even happens in the US. You'll find full sets of brand new IOTVs and helmets on Facebook Marketplace because there's some dumbass boot who's out there selling off his full kit because either he's just stupid or I don't know, but you just see things like that pop up every once in a while.
Even my buddy, when he came back from Afghanistan, he was 2504. They had a Connex full of 50 cals. They packed up, locked up. It left Afghan, whatever. When it got back to Fort Liberty, Bragg, whatever, it was full of concrete blocks. To the weight, to the ounce, they weighed it in fucking J-Bad where they were. Like,
That's so crazy.
so somewhere a whole mini Connex of 50 cals disappeared.
I mean, I believe it.
Out of a C-17 somewhere in the world, and you
Well, you see things like that
happens.
all the time. Like, I believe
Missing F-35.
the U.S. I remember there was a poster that circulated around on the internet of like wanted posters. When a certain amount of guns go missing, I guess CID will put out wanted posters, and at one point, I think they stole like M249s and M4s, and there's like a wanted poster for these missing fully automatic weapons that went missing in the United States.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, weapons go missing in the United States and get sold.
A lot.
A lot. Yeah,
Where
it's
a
not
lot.
like it's not an isolated incident, and I think a lot of people think that, oh, we're Americans, that would never happen here, but it does.
Money's money,
Here
yeah.
locally in Maryland, there
High crime
there
area.
was there was a
Goddamn.
there was a crate of grease guns that were stolen from Fort Meade. And this was this is 15 years ago at this point. And that was a big thing. I remember that because I think they caught the guys. It was just a bunch of servicemen. They like, oh, no one will care about these at the time 65-year-old guns, and it's like they just took them, and then I think they policed them up one by one. They were selling them in Baltimore and like all this other stuff, and it's crazy.
That's so crazy. I never heard of that.
Episode of The Wire.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, I heard a story. It might have been through Facebook or something like that, but it was like there was a guy. He was on Facebook Market selling. He was like 15 saw barrels, and he was like, "Hey, who needs like 15?" It was either that or M240 barrels, and everyone was like, "What? Like, where did you get all these?" He's like, "Oh," and they like found him in his car or something, like when he was trying to leave the base. It was some crazy shit like that. But yeah, it happens so much. But you think like here of how strict we are with inventory and stuff like that. Think of what happens in Russia. Like, there are dudes probably with like cornets and like F1 grenades and everything you could possibly imagine just sitting in their house because.
Well, there's that story of the guys who bought the surplus crates in Russia. They went and they sell stuff off at bases, and the guy bought like a few hundred crates of just wooden crates. And I guess hauled them back to his place and found like 42 AKs on pristine condition packaged inside because nobody thought to look through all the crates before they were sold off for scrap wood. The same thing happened. The same thing happened here in the U.S. not too long ago.
I remember that guy.
It literally, I don't know if it was this year, maybe last year now. My time is all blending together. But, the U.S. government auctions off stuff all the time, and somebody bought a bunch of storage containers, got them home or got them to wherever they were storing them and started going through them and found 16 M16s full auto that, nobody thought to check these crates before they went out the door.
It's fucking crazy.
It's a warehouse like any.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a guy, and Seth might have known him. He was I forget his name, but he was the guy that hosted Red Divide 2. Fuck he was. No, the old guy that Brandon knew that was kind of crazy, lived in the trailer.
Red Divide.
Anyway,
it's a good start to a crazy story. I like that.
Yeah, long story short, he went to Russia for like a PMC job. He was like hired to work at the embassy for something stupid. And he collects radios. So he went to like all these surplus shops and bought a ton of radios. And he's going home and like he's gonna, check this stuff. He's got like probably 4 or 5 crates. And he's in the airport, checks it, no problem. Good to go, right? About to get on the plane, all of a sudden FSB shows up and they want to arrest him. He's like, oh, fuck. Long story short, ended up being that he was not allowed to export the crates, but he could export the radios. So he had to take the radios out, the crates, and put them in, like, he's bought, like, luggage and checked them through that. And then they're like, okay. And he had to pay a bullshit fine of, like, 1,000 rubles. And then they took the wood crates away, and then he was able to leave the country.
1,000 rubles. Not
he's
not
like
$2. Oh, man. Oh.
It's like, what the fuck? It's
I think
like,
1,000 rubles is like, what, 10 cents nowadays? I think it's 4,000 rubles to a dollar right now.
Yeah, it's like a bullshit fine, but the comment something you said, Seth, I have a friend of mine who he's a Soviet-Afghan war vet, and he was in Afghanistan from 84 to 85. But he was in the Russian military for a few years before that. He was a BTR 60 commander. And he was just like, anything that was rifled, if it went missing, it was 10 years in jail. And he was talking about this one training mission they went on once. And this one guy went to go take a piss. He like got out of his vehicle. They were stopped alongside of a road, took a piss, got in it, and they were driving. And he realized he lost his bayonet. And the whole column went back. And they all got out and they had to search for it. Because if he lost it, they would all be in trouble for it. So it was like, it's very hard to steal stuff back then. And there's a big thing in the Soviet Union where you had to weigh everything. Everything had to be weighed, especially food and stuff, because they were worried about, people stealing stuff because it was very common in that kind of system. So yeah, they're very draconian. And then 90 happens, and then basically oligarchs are a thing,
Well, even before that, because they were selling like AGS 17s and stuff to the Mujahideen. So it was at that point, it was like the risk and the money, the bayonet, okay, one guy with no power, that's a concern. But if you're an officer who nobody's really looking over your shoulder and you say, hey, this is a lot of money for this system or whatever that I can make and pocket myself, they're going for it.
Oh yeah, that was his experience, you
Mhm.
know, which is probably more of a general experience. I'm not saying that.
Oh
it didn't
yeah,
happen.
absolutely.
He even
I'm
talks
just saying
about
that it's interesting
he-
that in some cases you can have
Mhm.
the entire column going back for a bayonet, and in other cases you have AGS-17s being loaded off the back of trucks. You know.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, when he goes to Afghanistan, he ends up. He says the arms markets are insane. The Western markets are insane. He buys like Deep Purple fucking cassettes. Like that's all they listen to while they're fucking in like their BTR, and they end up with M16. And they just have it in their fucking BTR, and they're like, we didn't have any ammo for it, but it was cool.
Mhm.
Like, you know, and then, but it was like a different world. Like, it was really a Wild West. The border was insane. Like, you went across the border, and then, you know, it was a different world. But they did let guys get away with some stuff. You know, it's like even in Vietnam, there was crazy arms markets and shit. Like, I have a great memoir where a guy, it's called Blood on the Risers. He ends up at a Saigon arms market and buys a K98 in 1968. You know, so like it's just crazy. All these wars generate these side things.
Well, what I was going to say is that, so this is a topic that was in debate amongst my friends for a long time about M16s used in Afghanistan, because that's a whole other thing.
You could do an entire podcast episode on that.
Yeah, there have
Yeah,
been guys that
I
have
know.
done whole papers and you know and things like that on it. But from what I know, and just sort of like a brief synopsis of it, is that in the beginning of the Soviet-Afghan War, the KGB was actually bringing in M16s that they took from Vietnam to give to like stash around and say like, oh, why are the Americans getting involved? So they're using sort of as like a political tool. But then, lo and behold, we didn't give a fuck, and we just started sending them, you know, stingers and everything under the sun. So it's sort of a weird topic, but I honestly don't think there was one place that M16s came from. I'm sure that we gave them some. I'm sure that the Russians probably brought some in, maybe for training
I don't think
purposes or
we
anything.
gave them M16s. I think it was the Pakistanis.
Or Pakistan.
So
yeah,
I know
was
that
it.
they
I knew it was
were
something
brought
like,
in,
yeah.
but from what I know, because the U.S. didn't want to be too involved. I mean, until they started giving stingers and stuff like that in the earlier part in the war, they were giving them stuff like Enfields and grease guns and Stens and all those older weaponry, which you
Khyber
see.
Pass Webleys.
Yeah, basically that's what they were getting. Until the Pakistanis were the ones who started bringing in Chinese AKs and M16s and all of that. And I'm sure, you know, the KGB brought them in as well.
It is a very interesting subject because you do have a few photos that exist, like from some of the groups and shit of M16s in Afghanistan. I'll have to talk to him again. He's a big gun guy. He's a really funny dude. But to get his story maybe recorded, you know. But they did find one in '84 in country, and it's funny because in Soviet cinema, like whenever they want to show the West with an M16, they would turn STGs into
Yeah,
M16s
they'd add carry handles.
in
Yeah.
this like
They're-
crazy conversion. Like they would like, oh my god, it looks horrible, but that would be like their like Western, you know, troops rifle. I gotta find some photos of it, but it's pretty funny. But yeah, the M16 in Soviet cinema and stuff is hysterical.
Just to chime back on the cinematography real quick, I did look up the guy. Mike, who here? Mike, have you seen Bad Boys 2?
Some of it. Yeah, it does look like that. Yes, I know.
Because
what you're
it
talking about.
is.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
it's the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
cinematographer. And
Yeah.
and once I read that, I went, that explains the harsh angles.
Right. The
That
only thing I
explains
remember.
all those harsh angles.
Yeah. The only thing I remember about Bad Boys 2 is that scene where the pool breaks. The dog rips the pool apart. And
Really? That's what you remember?
yes.
You remember that scene? You
It's
don't
the best-
remember the Haitian like drug outpost where it's like all
No.
that really interesting cinematography?
I
You
remember.
remember the dog going through the pool? I'm sorry. What the fuck are you talking about?
As Will Smith says in that scene, that's some funny shit.
I remember Reggie. All right, that's what I remember. If you want to talk about funny shit,
I haven't seen that, but I haven't seen that in so long. But I just remember that the dog is chained to the pool and he runs and the pool breaks apart and Martin
I
Lawrence
do
goes
remember that. Yeah,
sailing into the water.
because you
yeah.
spent all that money on that pool and you
Yeah,
can't
and
catch
then-
no break because he's
and
now
then-
a father.
And then Will Smith's like, "That's some funny shit." So, yeah.
Another great Easter egg is the hotel employees. Fucking when I move to America, I am not going to move to Brentwood.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking, it's fucking OJ.
Right.
Like,
O.J.
it's so
Simpson, yeah.
fucking. Yeah, it just again, there's
Here's
so
your
many
key
gems
with prostitutes in it. Here you go.
Yeah, right. Fucking, it's just
There
so
was
well done.
I mean, I guess it. I don't know how cautious arms dealers and warlords are when it comes to firearms, but there was like some crazy shit going on. Like when they go into that whole fucking like concrete warehouse of all those rifles, and Jared Leto's like, oh yeah, they work just fine. It's just like
That's a Holly-
motherfucker, dude.
That's a Hollywood
Yeah,
thing.
like,
That's a
yeah.
Hollywood thing. Yeah.
Well, like when you go to the Khyber Pass, you test all the weapons on the roof. You shoot towards the fucking mountains.
Yeah.
That's what you usually
Well,
do.
they didn't fucking test mine. That's for goddamn sure. God.
Yeah, because it would have blown up.
And then also like Nicolas Cage gets shot through the side, and he's just like, okay, anyway,
Let's
it's like,
do cocaine.
right, yeah.
I can't sell this now. It's a used weapon.
That's awesome.
After a guy gets shot in the face right next to him.
What?
Yeah.
Dude.
Nice
Yeah,
save.
it was a great
Nice
save because he was going to be the next bullet after that.
I thought it was there's the part towards the end of the movie where things kind of it's Jared Leto's death scene where he finally like can't take it anymore. He sees a woman and a child get hacked to death with machetes or something, and he's like, oh, it's like now
Machete
now
cues.
you have second thoughts about this business, dude. Like,
Well,
Yeah,
the-
you're like far deep into it now. This is not like
Yeah.
the beginning. Like they had experienced a shootout in the restaurant across the street. They had done all this stuff. It was like it was an odd point to have your breaking point, especially because there had been a ton of horrendous things that had happened way before.
There's the
that.
2005. It's the 2005 Hollywood because you have to make it so obvious. It's like, I see a child getting hacked to death with a machete. Oh man, yeah. And it's like, okay, that to the viewer is the most obvious.
Now
like,
you know it's wrong.
Before I forget, I just want to interject this. This reminds me of Sahara, too, which came out right around.
is that the
time.
movie with
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Yeah. Yep. Don't.
All right. Yeah.
But it's an interesting film. It's it's funny. It's like very stylized cinematography and very well polished.
What'd you eat, Mike?
It's like
Sushi.
Come again?
Sushi.
Sheesh, that's what I
Sush.
heard.
Oh, sorry.
Remember they cut off like vowels out there. It's za,
Yeah.
sush.
Yeah.
you know.
I've never heard it called sush. That's why I was curious.
Yeah, we tend to do that, and it drives Brian fucking nuts.
Gonna go get some sushi
Well,
at
it's
the
okay. We
Rofo,
just say niche
you know?
or no, not niche. No, I said it correctly. Niche. There we go.
Yeah, niche.
Yeah.
And it's not just you clowns,
some
but like
niche-y shit.
at least the other ones correct it when it's been brought up.
Well, I'll end up cutting this, but Brian.
and
that-
you have corrected it.
I have.
Nathan.
Oh no,
Is
I
it-
have.
I'm just
Brian sent
is
me a fucking Boston co-op thing, and I haven't felt so more East Coast than ever in the history of my life listening to that conversation. I was like, I hear that shit here, like, and I'm not even from fucking Boston.
It fucking comes out. Wait till you fucking come up my house in 2 weeks,
like,
kid.
fucking
Dude, we're going to an
fucking-
hour outside
fucking
that place.
Dick Moran, you know.
Oh, fucking Dickie. We're going to the fucking bar/Chinese restaurant.
I fucking
okay?
love that story.
I want some motherfucking, I don't even know.
Fucking
General
Pabst
Tso's
Blue
chicken and a
Ribbons
Bud
and
Light.
some fucking General Tso's, you know.
PBR and a General Tso right now, okay?
Gotta get a General
Give me
Tso.
Yeah,
fuck it.
Where's my
A General Tso and a White Russian. That's a
Where the
Wednesday
fuck's my
thing.
people?
Where the fuck are my Pall Mall 100s?
Oh god, not this again. This is like you guys
Oh,
did that for
God.
literally an hour. I was fucking pissing myself.
I know it happens.
Where's my fucking
Anyway,
PBR?
I think it's-
you know.
I think it is time to go to IMFDB.
Oh
What
yeah.
do you guys think?
It is a-
that'll take 2 hours.
It is a
Um,
big one, so it's probably good we start on this now.
Yeah.
Yes. Very, very shortly.
Um,
And as we get set up for that, I will ask you guys. So, this is a film like a lot about surplus and stuff. Was there any parallels in any ways? I mean, obviously you aren't arms
Yeah.
dealers, but like, it's,
Well, so
today, pre-Ukraine and post-Ukraine are two different worlds of sourcing things,
Oh, absolutely.
So,
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I can definitely see some parallels. It's just interesting to compare and contrast.
because as a casual collector, I bought like Afghan shit, Soviet Afghan stuff like 10 years ago, like tropical canteens and RD-54s, and I got one of everything, right? Forgot about it. And now I'm just like, if you could find it, it like goes in a second. It's insane, and that's about everything. Everything that was once common becomes scarce overnight. but it's just really insane these days. Like it just impossible.
I mean, even over in Russia and stuff like that, like stuff like Afghancas have really skyrocketed in price. You can't get them for $5 anymore like you used to be. They're 60, 70, $80 even over there, which is saying something because that's how it
Do you know why that is,
used to be.
though?
They had huge resurgence in reenacting themselves over there.
Yeah, it's the U.S. fucks themselves. The U.S. fucks themselves on surplus all the time with that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was waiting for it.
So the reason that they were $5 because nobody gave a shit about them except the small community, and they just want to get rid of them and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then now they know that they
Go ahead, keep going, keep going.
We'll get there.
Yeah,
We'll get
yeah.
there. They know that because they have the internet. They go, oh, these fucking Rusabu nerds are paying $60 a piece for these, so we're going to charge that. And there's only one source for them, which is Russia, and they're going to get it. And then you're going to have to charge 85 to 90.
That's even
to
in
make a
their local
profit.
markets, though. They're charging 60, 70, $80 between markets that the Americans.
They know they can. That's again. I've been dealing in surplus. I've been wheeling and dealing in surplus, not guns or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've been doing that since 2013, and that's the way it goes. It's like I try to get shit cheap, get it out there to people, and then all of a sudden, 2 years later, they're like, "Well, we're going to charge what you were charging for that because we know it sells."
Yeah. I had this guy not too long ago. He was just overseas guy. He was like, oh, hey, I have these items. Do you want to buy them? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, what are your pricing? He was like, I can get tons of it. I have access to military warehouse.
Oh, you're still in that phase.
No. Like, I mean,
That
I was like,
sucks.
okay, let's see what you have and what your prices are. And then he was like,
Yep.
okay, camo suit, $120. I was like, brother, I don't even sell that for $120 here in the United States. Are you out of your mind?
They don't give.
Are
a
you out of your
flying
mind?
fuck.
I was like, no, I'm not. He was like, okay, well, I have this. And I just told him, like, he was like, okay, I can offer you $90. And I was like, dude, no.
And so this is a relevant conversation to the film because this is Western. People have money, kind of a culture of surplus shit, just like gear and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what Nick Cage's character was playing to is these quote unquote developing African countries, specifically Western Africa, North and Western Africa. They don't give a flying fuck. They just want guns. They want ammo. They want grenades. They want all this shit. And no matter what Nick Cage asks for it, they're going to pay it. But since there's no resale market in the Western world because it's all fucking illegal, both parties profit, you know? And it's like, so Nick Cage can sell an AK at $200 a piece, right? We'll just throw out a number. It's not like an exact thing, but like an example. So that guy could have sold an AK to this quote unquote government for $200 a piece, right? In the US, that's a $50,000 rifle. Okay. He doesn't give a shit though, because there's no competition because it's illegal. It's under the fucking table, right? And even with all of his bullshit that he has to go through with getting the paperwork and the fucking all that shit, the ships and the planes and everything, he's still making a killing because he bought that AK for $5. You know? And because they sold it by the kilo, which a lot of people did before the Cold War ended. I know a lot of surplus like firearm companies that bought firearms by the kilo in the 60s. And then they just sat, and then now they're on the market.
And stuff.
Oh no, we're talking Springfield Sporters.
No, yeah, I know, but that was how it was back in the 60s.
It was
and stuff.
back in the day.
Yeah.
And to the 80s, and then they started charging by the piece.
Mm-hmm.
Inner Arms did a ton of shit. The Stendiels and fucking Finland and all the other crazy stuff.
Right, and so it's like you could just get this shit for pennies on the dollar, right? And sell it. And if you're charging $200 for a government for an AK, you're making fucking bank. But there's no competition whatsoever. And the guys that they were getting it from, the Soviets, the Ukrainians, the Romanians, the Hungarians, whoever the fuck they got it from, they knew that. They didn't give a shit. They were like, hey, we didn't pay for this shit. We're making bank. So just keep it coming.
Yeah, they make
Keep selling
unlimited
this shit.
profit anyways because they didn't have to produce them or buy them. It was just like,
That's what I
hey,
mean.
We
Yeah.
have this entire warehouse, and now I can make 1,000% profit on anything. Even
And
if
they
it's
go,
for a
we
couple
want
bucks."
500 per AK, and then a guy like Yuri Orlov would come in and be like, I'll give you 100, and then they negotiate, and then it's like, well, okay, 200 per. Fine,
Mhm.
go for it. Either way, both those parties are making a shitload of cash, and they don't give a flying fuck where it goes because it's just inventory sitting there. And I think this film actually really portrayed that well with the endless warehouses full of shit. You got BMPs, you've got fucking T-72s, you've got choppers. I don't know the aviation shit much for the Soviet stuff, but like, so I don't know what the models were, but like you've got helicopters, you've got all this shit. Yuri doesn't give a fuck. Okay, it works. It's cool. These guys like that. I'm gonna make some money, and I don't give a fuck where it goes. It's just like that switch that you turn off of like, okay, there's a mass genocide. I'm selling to both sides. Who gives a fuck? I'm making money. I don't have to see it. And so I think the film actually did very well in that of like, well, I don't care.
Well, especially when he was going with his uncle, and he was like, "Well, I have 45,000 rifles here, or whatever." He was like, "Okay, then you're gonna write central headquarters and say you only have 13,000, and to send 20,000 more."
Correct.
He's like, "Well, I have 45,000." No, you have 4,000, and now
You
you're
have
gonna go get more.
Yeah, you have one. Yeah, he says you have 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so it's like that's the way that shit, especially after the fall of the Soviet Union, like everything was in disarray. Yeah, guys were still in the army and shit like that, and they were doing their thing, but they, again, like it said in the film, they weren't getting paychecks.
They weren't getting
So they were
paychecks,
like-
and they didn't know whether they were subordinate to the Ukrainian authorities or up to Russian authorities or Soviet authorities. They were like, "We know we have to show up and wear a uniform, but we're not getting paid, and we don't really know who's in charge."
Right. And so I think that part of the film was actually really fucking well done. So anyway, let's go to IMFDB really quick and let's get it. Let's fuck this pig.
It's not going to be really quick.
I said, let's fuck this pig.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. Let's just get it done.
Yeah. So this is probably one of the bigger ones that I think we've done in a
Oh,
long
man.
time.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trivia. What the fuck? I haven't seen a trivia section.
We did it-
Don't
we
worry,
did-
guys. This page contains
We
spoilers.
did trivia
so.
in. Oh God.
Yeah, this page contains spoilers.
was one
Guess
of
what?
them.
Jared
Yeah,
Leto dies.
Jared Leto sucks. Jared Leto sucks at acting, and he also dies at the end.
Fucking Christ, Seth.
God.
You fucking
damn,
prick.
dude.
He
Just
said
kick-
it's
just
Morbin time,
kick-
and then he morbed everywhere and then died.
Well, at least he didn't do Brown. At least he was a purist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
Mike
Now
A.
that's insane.
Mike A.
Yes.
That one sucked.
What sucked?
Morbin.
Morbius.
Morbius.
Yeah.
Oh, Morbius. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't even watch it. I just
The funny thing is that it got famous for being so terrible that the studio re-released it, and the community's like, no, it's not actually like so bad it's good. It's just bad.
It was just bad. It just became an internet meme culture.
So
Yeah.
what the fuck is an SB?
Single bitch.
All right, penis. Let's fucking be serious.
If you carry
This is
one,
very
you're a
s-
single bitch.
This is a serious podcast.
I'm
so-
being serious. I don't know.
Pew pew pew.
Most
Beretta
likely-
92 single bitch.
It's probably something Beretta.
Jamie,
it
look
could
it
be
up.
the small. It could be like
Okay,
the
hold
concealed
on.
version or the smaller version.
Hold on.
No, it's not. It's a full size 92
Hold
FS.
on before
You
we.
can just click on
Yeah,
the
you can
link.
just click
the
on the.
hyperlink.
Don't tell me what to do.
Okay, boomer.
See, you pulled up this idiot.
Oh,
This guy
yeah.
again.
Yeah,
Woohoo!
thank you.
SB
Introduced in 1980.
Change-
The
oh,
Beretta 92.
Automatic
Oh,
firing
okay.
pin block safety.
So this was the predecessor to the 92
Rolls off the tongue.
FS. Okay.
Yeah, okay,
I
great.
like single.
So glad
Gotcha.
I know that now.
Yeah. Single
Cool.
bitch was better.
Fuck you.
Yeah, it was.
Man, he looks so feminine.
I just tried to say fuck you, but like it didn't work.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that?
Okay,
Yes,
so he's
the
got
92.
no. I do like that because the FS came out in what year? It's like the mid '80s, and then we adopted it and all that shit. But like, that's a pretty cool touch. I like that. But we'll talk about the Glocks here when we get to that.
Smith and Wesson.
Yeah, 6.86. That's a fucking actually a really good pistol. Smith makes a fucking great
Too bad
revolver.
you can't get any.
Definitely not a
Too bad you
Taurus.
can't get any revolver over a 45 for less than less than like $1,200 or $1,300 now.
That's a Nathan gun if I've ever seen
I
it.
would want one. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's a Nathan gun. It's obscure, it's stupid, and it's silver. So
I don't-
And that's because
Look.
of movies like these, because they drive the price up of them because they're cool.
Hold on.
Yeah, yeah.
Before you guys like railroad me, okay? Like
That's a
I
Nathan
don't
gun.
like nickel plate guns. I like unique, weird
Oh,
guns.
okay.
I
There's a
agree.
difference.
Yeah, that's
He
why
likes-
there's a Drysel 1907. Okay?
He likes
like
forgotten weapons.
Dreisel.
He does.
What do you think about this one, Nate?
Yes,
oh
he
fuck
does.
you. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to The Walking Dead, those are so fucking expensive now.
It's not a fucking python, you
I
retard.
know that. I'm just saying. Do you think the other Boomalotties know the difference between a python and something that's silver and a revolver that's bigger than a 30 foot 740?
Hey, Birch, is that a used gun?
It is definitely. a used
Can't
gun.
sell it.
It's not worth a lot then. Yep, can't sell
Can't
it now.
sell it.
You're right. I'm not gonna sell it because it's fucking awesome.
Oh, that's right. I forgot Bilbo Baggins gets fucking domed.
Yes, it's Ethan Holm. Ian Holm, dude.
Yeah.
He's also he's also
Lord.
Ash in Alien.
Yes. You know, Ian Holm's great.
Like
he
blocks.
died 2020?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where I had an issue because it doesn't say what year they're in Colombia. So the Glock 17 was like, I think released on the market in like the fucking 1984, I believe, right? I'm not even going to read this yet. I believe it was released in 1984 in like the Austrian military. Also, there was a Gen 2. There were Gen 2s in that box, which didn't come out till 1994 or 5. Even the Gen 1.
Talking about that
Okay,
one.
so
that box.
yeah, okay. Yeah, that's it. That's not even a fucking Glock. That's a fucking. They didn't put that texture on the fucking first gen of Glocks. Those look like H&K pistols.
Yeah, they look very odd. It could just be the angle too, the lighting.
They're airsoft
Yeah.
guns, probably.
Well, yeah, it could be. Go up for a second, Nate, and then we'll get off of this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. But so also the Glock. Oh, the scene takes place in 1989. Okay, that's more believable. But those are Gen 2s. Yeah, I mean, those are Gen 2s that didn't come out till like fucking 6,
say
7
the
years
middle ones
later.
are Gen 3s.
Yeah, they are because
They
they got
are.
the fucking yeah. So that was shitty, but like whatever.
Mike A, you see that muzzle flash?
I do see that.
Yeah, sexy.
Oh, Star Model B, nice.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool.
Well, let's see it.
What?
Really?
The Star Model B in the Flight of the
had
Phoenix?
What? How the fuck did they get that out of that? I can't see
Huh.
that fucking thing for shit.
Maybe here.
He might just be guessing.
A little bit of side profile.
They're probably just guessing.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a regular
It's-
1911 or something. And
Yeah,
they're like,
exactly. It looks like a 1911, but like,
I love me a Star Model B.
oh
though.
fuck yeah, dude, they're fucking
Great
great
guns.
pistols. So, Star Model B circle in red. Okay, yeah, that's something that I didn't pick up. So whatever.
Oh,
Makarov.
Smack.
Yes, I
God.
did see this. Yep. The PM. Yep, he points it at him. Yep.
Daisy taught me to hate this gun.
They're actually not terrible. They're not great, but they're not terrible.
Nice quote.
Not great, not terrible.
Not great.
Speaking
not
of
bad.
Soviets.
I've shot a lot of them. So yeah, the micro Uzi, right? So this is this fucking thing, right? And yes, they do make 25 round mags for them. They are small, but like, why would they be? This was also an IMI, like God, even in the 80s, that would have been hard to find these.
that's that presentation I was talking about, Mike.
Just
Yeah.
go to Temple, apparently.
Absolutely.
go to Temple.
So that present,
Yeah,
what?
just go to
I think
Temple.
if this was the 80s, it would have made more sense if they were like Mac 10s or something.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
no, they would have had they had mini Uzis, yes, but like in the 80s though, the micro Uzi was like in all the movies and
Ingrams.
shit. So,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's a micro Uzi, and they're they're not great, they're not bad. They're heavy as fuck and they're bulky as fuck, but they very accurate and they work great.
They're almost as
Oh,
useless
the
as this.
MP5 came. Would you like a silencer with
Well,
that?
for a personal defense weapon, that's not a bad choice. Like a really
Oh,
small
no, not at all.
fucking whatever. But yeah,
it was in everything.
Of course. Same with the
MP5K.
micro Uzi. It was like the good guys
Yep.
and the bad guys, and it's like, huh?
Always on a 1 point like that.
Well, no, I literally have my micro Uzi on at 1 point, so
Well, yeah. There's no other sling you're allowed to put on it. You know?
right, because you can't. But like, yeah, the A2 A3, that's a solid. Dude, the MP5 I think is probably the best submachine gun ever made, and that's going against the PPS H41.
Well, you see it everywhere now. I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, no, they're a really fucking well designed submachine gun, and that's why they're used. But
They are the best made
are
submachine
you
gun since
saying-
the Second World War. For
Hold on,
sure.
I want to ask you a question. So you think the 41 lines up with the MP5?
no, I think the MP5 is better.
Okay.
Because it doesn't waste as much ammo. It's more controllable. It's not
Right.
as heavy.
Right.
It is more expensive to produce, yes.
Right.
But the fire rate and the roller lock system rather
Uh-huh.
is so much more efficient than a just direct blowback bolt
It's
operation.
basically it's roller block, so it's like a mini. STG,
I've never really
mini
asked this
Stepney.
before. But has anyone ever shot one of these?
Yes.
And it's
I
here.
have.
Yes.
They're great.
Really?
I have, but not full
Very
auto.
controllable.
Yeah, I've shot a semi, and they're
Yeah.
they're
full
fantastic.
auto.
Nice.
It's you can't tell.
Is the firing rate similar to a 41?
Yes, it's
Okay.
very fast. Yep.
Okay.
I think it's
So that's
900.
why you're making that comparison then.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
900. If so, Chris, is it? Do you know the fire rate of an MP5?
Off the top of my head, no. We can
let me-
find out,
Yeah,
though.
Google it really quick. I think it's around 900.
I was gonna say 800 or 900. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, about 800.
800. Okay,
Oh God, the non-folding stock. I haven't seen that in a long
those
time.
are fucking awesome.
That's so 90s SWAT.
It's a G3 stock. That's all it is. It's a G3
You know?
stock, and yeah, they're fucking. That's I would
the
argue.
fucking light underneath. Oh my
That's
God.
how many movies. That's how many movies they've been in.
Oh yeah, I would argue that is the best submachine gun ever fucking fielded.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
So
Do you think so? Even in modern
Yes.
use, I mean, because they're not as common as they used to be. They still are used, but they've definitely been replaced by other things.
like what?
MP7, for example.
MP7s.
Okay, but that also uses a proprietary fucking weird ass caliber,
Mhm.
and it's extremely.
But that's where the shortcomings come from because you're using a 9mm round when its application is used in places where it's like it probably should be a higher cartridge because
Yeah,
You're
that's
getting a
why
lot-
people use.
Yeah.
That's why people use short-barreled rifles and stuff now instead of MP5s. That's why they
plated
carry
armor
around.
plated armor is becoming much more common. It's like back in the day it was like yeah,
times have
people were wearing
changed,
chest
yeah.
rigs, but now it's all armor. So it's like that's why
Okay,
that's why there's MP7s exist is because of the
but does that actually, has there been, besides studies that have been bought and paid for, is there actually any proof of that an MP7 with the what the fuck is the cartridge, the 5 or the 4?
5.7, yeah.
It's 5.7. Okay, because the MP9 is a different caliber, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing as the FN57.
No, I know that, but like there was they experimented with a bunch of these fucking weird.
Yeah,
ass-
there's like a 4.9 by
4 yeah, that's what I was
something.
thinking of.
Yeah.
So the 5.7, they have a ballistic tip on it, and so I find it very difficult to believe that will go through level 3 alpha and 4 armor, like they claim it does. I think it's a fucking marketing scheme. That's my opinion. Doesn't mean it's a fact. So I don't know, but like 9mm, it also gets a bad rap. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Seth?
9mm, like, you got to think of like, they wanted a platform, like with the Uzi, for example, it's like they wanted a light platform to be able to implement this weapon on. And something that could fire the same round as a Sten. They basically just wanted a Sten, but something that was improved and much more user-friendly.
Yeah.
Obviously, back then, when the Uzi was invented, you weren't going up against guys with body armor. You're going against guys with chest rigs and helmets that 9mm could just go straight through. Then there were shorter engagement distances as well, and obviously they were used like, special. That's why slowly, you see
the
with
trench
you
clearing
see with the
weapon,
MP5, it's like
Yeah.
you see a lot of more special forces using them because they're in those closer engagements. But
Well, it's a submachine gun.
submachine
Yeah, it's
gun.
not meant for long range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think with the and obviously like back then we were fighting the Cold War, we were fighting a lot more like proxy conflicts, and it's like there was a lot of you're fighting enemies that were fighting a guerrilla war and didn't have access to armor or any of those like greater things. But I think like the paradigm's starting to shift a little bit. We're not talking about fighting terrorists anymore. We're not talking about fighting guerrilla wars anymore. We're talking about fighting other nations that have very, very fleshed out and more advanced militaries that are fielding body armor. So it's like I think that's sort of the idea of where the MP7 and other like PDW like submachine guns are coming from. It's like they want something with that light package where you get that recoil control, but can also have somewhat of a chance. And like I agree, like I don't know if like the whole lore as to whether it can penetrate, level 3 or greater armor is true. Maybe it could. I don't know. There's probably some very particular circumstances that have to be in order for it to do that. But like I think that's why you're seeing that shift over time. So
Well, here's why I think that's a gimmick, is because I think FN, they didn't really succeed as much as they wanted to with the 5.7 cartridge and the P90 and the 5.7 pistol.
yeah,
And I think it's just kind of like being overblown, because even if somebody's wearing hefty armor, if you hit them with a burst of 9mm, they're not just going to be like they're not just going to be
no,
standing
it's
up.
gonna.
They're going to be
And it's-
down.
and-
the
Yeah.
MP7 is chambered in 4.6 by 30, so it's not 5.7.
Oh really? Oh.
Yeah, so it's
I'll know.
specifically for armor piercing capabilities, because
And the
during
MP9 is still the same caliber. I'm pretty sure they're the same. They just they modified it or upgraded it for the MP9. But yeah, it's the 4.
the
that's what I was
MP9
thinking.
is in 9 by 19.
Oh no shit. Okay, so they went back to that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm asking, is like, it's just because like the Uzi, right? I have a semi-automatic version of the Uzi. It's a heavy motherfucker,
Yeah.
but it's very controllable. I mean, extremely
Even in
controllable.
full auto, it's very controllable.
Yeah, and it's like it's very user friendly. It's fucking simple to take apart, clean, operate. It's a great weapon. It's extremely heavy. Now the MP5, I think, is a better submachine gun because it's bigger. It can be bigger, but it's more streamlined. And
Oh,
it's also
absolutely. I don't
user-friendly.
think anybody's arguing that it's not a good machine.
No.
gun.
I know
I think
nobody's
people
not,
are
but, like,
saying,
that-
yeah,
yeah.
it's interesting to see, because there is a reason why that everybody has
Mhm.
moved away from the MP5 to things like the MP7 or short-barreled rifles and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I mean,
exactly.
I think it's a phenomenal machine pistol. Don't get me, or not machine pistol.
Oh, yeah,
machine,
no,
don't get
that's
me
why I
wrong.
think it's the
It's
best.
amazing. Yeah.
I think it's the best so far that we've got, because again, the submachine gun has its place. I think it still does in the modern conflict and everything. But yeah, I mean the Uzi, I would put the Uzi and the MP5 up at the top of best performing submachine guns currently as we
Oh
speak.
yeah, I shot a full auto Uzi like years ago, and like without a doubt, that was like the smoothest
Yeah.
action.
The
I've ever
MP5
felt.
is even more
Oh,
than,
yeah.
than the Uzi. It's insane.
Yeah, so the AK-47, and I'm glad they actually had real, like in the scenes where they actually showed them up close, they did have milled AK-47s, not AKMs.
They had
And,
they had Type
Mhm.
1s in there too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a slab side right there.
Yeah, exactly. And they had a lot of slabs in this film, which is like porn, but like that would have been realistic, So, yeah, the actual AK-47. Yep, right there. Beautiful shot.
Yeah, the angles are just great.
Oh, I love it. It's beautifully shot. The cinematographer gets a fucking A+ for me. Like that was.
Mike, I think you went to the bathroom. Did you hear that it's Bad Boys 2 and National Treasure 2 and
Yeah, I
all
heard that. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's who the cinematographers. And then he worked a lot with Nick Cage after this and before
Yeah.
this, so it seems to be someone who liked working on Nick Cage
Yeah,
movies.
definitely really well shot. I have zero complaints about the shots or cinematography in general. So yeah, look at that. Beautiful fucking rifle. Beautiful fucking milled rifle. Yeah, and the AKM is definitely in there. Of course, it's gonna be. Not the best shot I would use for MFTB, but those are underfolders. But
And the guys who couldn't hit a guy.
Yeah,
5
behind
feet
a
away
wooden
behind a
table. Yeah.
Yeah. But
You give me a 30-round fucking magazine and tell me to hit a guy 10 fucking feet away from me with an AK. It's not
gonna
going to
happen.
end well for the other guy.
Yeah.
They called me the Bubba Yaga.
they
Yeah,
call
so
me
It's like shooting rats in
they
a
call me
hallway.
the
Yeah, it's fucking. Does this excursion come with a new change of clothes?
Well, I mean, if you want a bibbity bop, I can do it.
He
me a
stalks his enemies, and then right before he kills them, he goes "Beep-a-da-bop."
Well, no, I did like though, honestly, like throughout the film, like you see type 1s, type 2s, and then you see AKMs,
Yeah,
and it's like that's realistic because they would have
Yeah.
had all those. They would have mostly AKMs, the AKMS. Yep, there we go.
so we've had this fight before. I like this. I think this is the best AK, and you guys yell at me and tell me that weird atrocity.
I
coat
have a
hanger.
Polish one, and it's not that great. I'm gonna be honest. The folding stock is horrible.
I have to disagree. I really have to disagree. I think it's a wieldy gun. I think it looks good.
It is.
I think
With that in mind, though, there are better alternatives, in my opinion.
Well-
Okay, the coat hanger one that they're all gonna fight me on just now. That thing is terrible, and I don't care what anyone says.
you
It's
talk
that
about like the
stupid little
East
wire-
German like
the
wire
wire
stock?
side
that
folder.
wire
Yeah, those
stock
are
thing.
terrible.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. They all Brian and Mike are gonna just castrate me now because I
No,
said that.
this really quick, Brian, and then you can go. It's not going to take long.
yeah.
This fucking sucks.
It does. I agree.
Well, it's
I
like
hate-
it's like the PPS 43. It's like the PPS 43. That folding stock sucks.
Yes.
I
It
understand
fucking
that.
sucks.
But if you talk about aesthetics, if you talk about aesthetics, that is better. If you told me that that coat hanger feels better on your shoulder, then you were fucking high.
No, I don't think anybody's
no,
arguing.
but they're
Yeah,
going
no,
to. They're
who?
going to. You two.
Brian?
You
Brian,
two
go
fought
ahead.
me last
Brian,
time
go
about
ahead.
the wire.
I didn't fight you, motherfucker.
It was high in a road or whatever. You guys crucified me for it.
Yeah, the AMD 65 stock looks awesome.
No, that
I
that
didn't say
sucks.
it is awesome,
That sucks
but
even
it looks
worse than the
awesome.
Romanian ones.
But it looks cool. Though.
No, don't get me wrong.
This
it
one
looks-
looks cool, but it is shitty. That's the thing, you know. What I used to do with my AKMS when I went to events was you unfold the stock, but you do it enough where it's like locked open, but it rests on the front of
Yeah.
the mag. Doing that as Mooj was the coolest fucking look. Oh my god! And it's a great package. It's like you have an AK. It's like 3 feet long and it's on your back. It's gonna hurt to fucking shoot, but it's there. You know.
Yeah, it's just not ideal.
The
works.
AKMS has the
Yeah.
best aesthetic, and in my opinion, it looks the coolest, but it's the least.
Oh,
you know,
okay, we can find common
optimum
ground
to
there.
use.
Yes, it looks
out of
really
A,
fucking
Yeah.
yes, out of
Oh yeah.
AKMs. But this is the
Under the
real-
fucking shoulder, stock half done. Fucking, you look cool. Don't use it, but you look cool. Like you know,
Mike can't go.
Michael.
So just to change the subject for a second on this whole wire stock thing. Can you scroll up real quick? So I was talking earlier about keep scrolling up to that one right there. I was talking earlier about some of the weapon stuff in this and just how like dangerous some of the guys are with it. This was one scene where he's handing out all this stuff to these people. I'm like, something is gonna go wrong. Like it's
Yeah.
and that like he's like handing people grenades and RPGs and everything. It's like, are you kidding me? Like it's only a matter of minutes before someone fucks something up.
And that's kind of what makes the scene fucked up is because
Right.
he doesn't give a shit.
I
It's
know
all
that,
about
like,
him.
but like
yeah,
he's
you got
doing
like
like
little kids running around with grenades. And stuff.
As long as all
Something's
that's
gonna
gone,
happen.
he doesn't give a crap.
no, I
what
get that, but
happens.
like I mean that could happen like right when he hands it to someone. Just like I
Right,
mean,
right.
like and
Yeah.
kill him. Like,
but if he's here with all that stuff, he's fucked anyway.
I know that, but that was just one thing. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, you're all about to die in a second. You know, like, if I were there, that's what I would say. Like, are you kidding me, dude?
All I know is that when I go to Costco, I get really shitty free samples. Fucking this guy. You know,
Yeah.
I'll take a fucking AKM.
I'm going to the wrong
I'll take a couple
places. Yeah.
RG-33
It's
grenades.
fucking like sausage and like cheese dip. No, I want a fucking AKM. you know?
Can you imagine if that happened? Like if we were, I don't know, like somewhere and like a plane lands and the guy's like, "Hey, you want all this shit?" I'm like,
You're
"Yeah,
gonna,
yeah,
yeah.
Let me back my car up. Here.
yeah."
You did say you'd jump into a pile of shit for an MG42, so just
I
saying,
did
you
do
know?
say that. Yes.
You're gonna be like Chris Tucker in Rush Hour when the money's coming down. Thank you, God.
right.
yeah, right. That's a great
Thank
scene.
you, God.
Thank you, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That literally would be, yeah.
That would be you.
Yeah, the slab
Yeah.
sides.
There's the same scene like that in Animal House with the fucking like cheerleader ends up in the 16
Oh
year
yeah,
old's room.
thank you God.
I would be like
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen parody Rambo with like 4 RPGs on my back. That's what I would do.
Right.
Fucking slab sides.
Slab City.
Yep.
Oh, and this fucking
Custom
gold
egg.
thing.
Gold plated.
Yeah.
Need so bad.
Ugh.
Oh, there
Ugh.
it is.
What an ugly
You had
motherfucker.
me till the ass.
There's the Roe versus Wade stock.
Yeah.
I've seen those.
Oh,
That whole thing. I don't know much. I'm not a AK expert in any but I see that like pop up and starting to think the gold AK, and it's like that looks so bad. I hate the look of it.
Saddam.
Yes, but I want one so bad just for the meme. Just for the meme.
Just to melt it down into bars of gold.
Mount it in the back of your truck.
That's
it's
Like,
gold
that's
plate.
what
You
I
probably get a fucking gram of
Yeah, you
gold.
probably would
I
get
know.
like, yeah, you
Yeah,
probably
'cause
get like
they're
a
gold
half
plated,
a
they're not, like,
necklace out of
solid
it.
gold.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, it's. I know it's not solid gold.
This is the whole scene is crazy with the cheerleaders and everything. Like,
Yeah, this was like stuff I was seeing in the trailer right here, and I'm like, what is this?
Dallas Cowboys. Yeah.
I was gonna say Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders got to do something on the off season, so you know, it's like,
Yep.
or on the on season they don't have to do much either. So you know,
hey man, I got a game
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, 1056-1. Yep.
I got to be in Cincinnati by 5.
does anyone have
Oh,
the
1056.
Chinese ones?
No.
No.
Who made the? Was
No,
it Century
they're
that
great.
made the semi-auto conversions out of the parts kits?
I don't remember.
Some-
It might have been somebody
did.
else.
I can't
Yeah.
remember.
There've been so
But
many
they've
builders.
they've been dried up for years,
Yeah.
so you can't find
Yep.
them anywhere. God, even the SKS
Remember when
is
the-
a fucking. Oh my god.
I remember when the VFC fucking Type 56 AK came out and the airsoft community went crazy about it because you can actually have a Chinese AK for Vietnam.
Badass.
Yep.
2007.
Back in my day.
I don't remember seeing
God,
that thing.
a
Oh.
chrome dong.
Yeah, when was that?
Damn.
It's in his.
Oh, nice.
Oh. Oh.
Oof.
That's that. We call that the Bronx clear. You got to get through an intersection. Well,
The
M16A2s.
M16.
See, that's the stuff
Yeah.
I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and those were. Let's see
Yeah.
what that receiver says. Era 15A2. Oh, they couldn't actually get a fucking
Oh,
M16A2
yeah. So it's
receiver.
Oh yeah, 1500 rubber molded firearms.
oh, it's a cult at least.
Yeah, it's a Colt, but it's a civilian fucking receiver.
yeah.
1500 raw.
Again, 98% of people
firearms.
own
Also, yeah, it is. Yeah, so click
Yeah.
on that really quick because there's no fucking bolt release.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's no fucking bolt release on
Yeah,
that
yeah,
bitch.
you're right. Yeah.
Yep. It's
Yep.
just a solid piece of metal of.
And it's not in the
rubber.
right spot at all. So yeah, it's
Mhm.
definitely a rubber one.
Why? 311.
Interesting.
Norinco branded. Oh, it's Chinese M16.
Yeah. Huh.
Leave it to the Chinese to copy everything we do.
Oh, I didn't see any vector. Wow.
Vector R5.
The fuck is that?
Isn't that a South African gun?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like everything
It's
mixed
like a
into one.
South African version of
It's-
the Israeli
Galil.
Galil, yeah.
Interesting.
with even a better can opener.
The A1 with the A2 handguard. Yeah, definitely common. Yep.
Hard. 723.
Mm.
Mm.
Oh.
Did you say hard like
Nah.
All right, old man.
like you're getting
You
hard?
gotta pick up on the. No, I'm not doing that. You fucking pervert.
Oh, so hard.
Scroll down. Mike's got to snap one off.
Mm.
Mike's got to snap one off. Scroll down a bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm.
Is that your impression of me, Nate?
That's your impression of you when you
Yeah.
when you burp
When I-
under,
when I,
underneath your throat.
When I belch, yeah.
Yeah, that's Michael's contact photo of my phone. Yeah.
Yeah. Dry ice on that tank? What the hell is that?
Oh, they go all out. It's
Seems to be,
billions of
yeah.
dollars, and that's like a couple dollars.
How else do you
so.
look like you came from the ghost plane?
Hey, Seth, I'm expecting dry ice in a video.
We've discussed it before.
It's Halloween. I mean,
I had a
I'm
question.
saying.
Actually, do you guys remember the ARs they were using in Platoon?
Yeah, the XM177 E1.
Was it the E? It had the 16-inch barrel. It was whatever the.
It was the wrong one. It was the Commando.
Yeah, it was the command.
80s
I forget
version.
which one it was, but
Yeah.
there's some like they couldn't because they were filming in the Philippines or something,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah,
couldn't get full auto weapon or certain full auto
You-
weapons, so they had to.
You never see E1s or E2s really used. I think
No.
Green Berets hasn't, but that's because it was filmed with SF help in the 60s. So
Yeah.
like, and also because the problem is that those are modulators, so they're
Right.
actually an NFA item,
Okay.
on top of an NFA item. So it's hard. XMs have always been very hard.
Yeah.
Car 15.
Classic.
Like his hanger has the
Classic.
best
Classic.
guns.
I guess.
I've never even heard of that. The AR stuff, I'm just like, woof, over my head.
Oh, it's fucking it's a rabbit hole. It's
The
insane.
AKs I've over the last like 5 or 6 years have gotten really into kind of like the weird variables, just because of course now when they're getting so expensive you can't even get them anymore. So
I
These are
love
fun.
VZ58 so much.
They're
Yep,
funny
they're a
because
lot better.
when they
Yeah.
eject the rounds, they go straight up.
Yeah,
Like,
they do.
I used to hate them. I used to
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
loathe them.
really?
Yeah, I hated them. Couldn't stand them. Very recently, I've come around to them, but not as an AK or an AK platform. And a
Well,
lot
it's
of
not
people
an
say,
AK.
well, but a lot of people like to lump them in and be like, oh, that's just the Czech AK.
Yeah,
and,
completely
it
different
makes me like
mechanism.
cope and seethe and go, no, it's not. And then I'd be like, that gun sucks.
It's
And
smaller
then
than the
I
AK.
completely wrote it off, and then I saw it, and I thought about it. I just really wish they took AK mags. I really do.
Yeah, that would be great, but the Czechs did that intentionally.
Yeah.
And with all their fucking weapons.
It does
you know?
look like an AK that was left out in the sun a little too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones with the full
backlight,
stocks
yeah.
though are very cool.
Oh, well, dude, what's funny is that like 1,000 of those made it to Vietnam, and they show up in like veterans photos, like
Yeah.
a lot. They're,
Really?
It's crazy. Yeah. 500 of the stocked ones and 1,000 of the paratrooper versions were sent in '68, and they show up.
It's funny. That's what they use in Full Metal Jacket. That's what they all use in that movie, and I
Yeah.
thought that was a mistake, but I guess it could be
Very
possible.
specific circumstances. Yeah, I have a great photo somewhere of a bunch of gooks dead in the wire. It's '69 dated like Kodak photo, and they all have paratrooper fucking VZ58s. So
I mean, and then you also see some guys have East German helmets and stuff as well.
yeah.
And
it's a
like,
famous
oh,
photo
that's
from the
pretty-
A shot
pretty
that came
interesting.
out recently. A 101st guy with one on going up. The
Yeah,
trail.
that's a very famous photo. Yep.
The Czechs sent a shitload of VZ52 helmets as well. Like you see
Mm-hmm.
those pop up everywhere.
Truck drivers and anti-aircraft crews supposedly were the ones that used those because they were attacked so much. And they show up randomly in the NVA, but very, very rare. Who the fuck's wearing a helmet in the jungle?
G3A3.
Yeah, they usually wore them with those weird body armor vests. It was a pair. They'd have the East German helmet and the body armor.
I don't think I've heard of that, to be honest. East
Yeah, it
German
was a
body armor?
no, it wasn't East
from the
German. It
vehicle
was
crew.
local
Yeah,
South
yeah.
Korean, but not South,
Yeah,
North
Vietnamese,
Vietnamese. But they would wear them specifically. There's several pictures of them with the East German M56.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, they were vehicle drivers. They were NVA, not like Viet Cong or anything.
Fucking. There's some great Vietnam War folk songs like about instead of sitting on the dock of the bay, it's chained to the cab of my truck. Fucking about like Ho Chi Minh drivers and shit. Anyway, Henry assault rifle or survival takedown rifle. That's just an
I need one of
AR-7 or
those.
whatever, right?
Yeah, it's the predecessor. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, those little ARs they used them in Vietnam, so.
I've never really been into survival rifles.
Survival
to be
stuff,
honest, they never really appealed
Me
to
neither,
much.
but it just looks cool.
They
You
do
don't have
look
to
cool.
survive. There's that like Kimber or something that folds in half. That's pretty nice for survival. and stuff I
Yeah,
know they make,
yeah, I've
and-
seen those.
Yeah.
The K98 with the straight bolt. Love that.
Oh,
Oh yeah. L1A1. I still
see
need one of
that.
these.
I love
Yeah,
I
I
have
just need
one.
an FAL.
They're amazing.
L1A1.
Yeah.
Uh,
L1A1s are better. You can use fucking Bren mags for them. They're fucking beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
custom Truvello CMS sniper rifle. Who gives a shit?
See my sentiments, Nate.
Don't care.
Comes a lot of the modern guns.
Shotguns
Smith
with
and
folding
Wesson.
stocks.
The majority of
3000.
this is like taken up by random one-off guns that are in his storage container and never
Yeah.
seen ever again.
No,
Right.
but it's IMFDB. They got to cover every single thing.
Yeah. M60. Yeah.
That's a weird one. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
What's an M60?
Look, it's not like that one gun we never know what it is. It starts with an
Yeah,
M
big one?
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy's like
So weird.
fucking Tuco Salamanca.
I love Mag 58s.
Yeah, me too. Trust me.
Fucking awesome.
Fucking beautiful weapons.
There was someone on Gunbroker was selling a parts kit, I think, for $6K. Yeah, it was beautiful. I do like all these like shots of like all the like I said before, the montages of him like bribing people, and it's all the different languages, and hearing Nick Cage trying to do, I guess, Cantonese. I don't know.
Well, at least he could fucking do it. Brad Pitt, you're just gonna be fucked if you try to get him to do anything. The Repug 7. That's one we don't see.
We don't recently. We haven't
Rocket
seen
propelled
RPG
guinea
7.
pigs.
Retard pussy gangsta.
RGD 5. Yep.
See, like, okay, yeah, like that right there, that image.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you're about to have a fucking mistake happen.
What do you mean? You ever like give ices out and like
Just give
in the
grenades
summer
out
to
like
kids?
it's candy. Yeah.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
I'm
Look.
pretty sure during these storage crates, they wouldn't have been stored with the fuses in. For transport, they're always
Correct.
separate. So it's always like, if this was real, there would pretty much be no chance of them blowing up unless somebody physically took them and screwed it in and was like, oh, that's...
Yep.
Let's be completely
You
honest
are
here.
correct.
It's Russian ordnance, so half
Would
of them
they
aren't gonna work anyway.
would they still would they still put him in the Easter basket paper strands?
They might have done something similar, but they wouldn't have the fuses in.
Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say, this is the same problem what I think we came across with Tank Boy. So
Oh yeah.
It's like the grocery store in The Purge.
yeah,
My hand grenades, like.
All right, trivia. There
Yep.
you go.
Yep.
There
That's
you
what
go.
Chris said.
Yeah.
Nowadays that would just be CG.
Yeah, right.
definitely.
That's insane.
They would just clone a bunch
I'm
of
glad
CG
it
tanks.
wasn't, though.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
no,
it looked
absolutely.
really
yeah.
good.
But like today, like they were just like, okay, just get a 3D tank and clone it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's the difference between, they blew all their CG budget in the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning.
So it made them have to do, made them stay practical. So, which I will say, before we launch into closing statements, Jared Leto gets fucking obliterated.
Yeah, but he
Dude,
still hangs
they
on for dear life.
Pump so many rounds into him. Your chest cavity would be like ripped apart.
And
Yeah,
Yes.
it wouldn't be there anymore.
If you had adrenaline, you could hang on for about 30 seconds tops until your body physically ran out of oxygen, and then it would shut down.
It's like he ran into Mike B in an alleyway with like an AK 10 feet away.
Truth.
Welcome. Can move into final thoughts. So, who wants to go first?
Why don't you go first, Brian? You never go first.
Oh, fucking,
Yeah, you haven't gone first.
I
in,
always
like,
like
a
to
while,
finish.
actually.
We all like to finish, don't we?
uh.
You sick fuck.
Give you 5 minutes. We'll see what you have to say.
Never finish.
Anyway, it's a really good film. Like I had mentioned earlier, this is like probably one of the more fun films we will see or watch. And that's not to be like, oh, war is fun and trading black market firearms is fun. Like, no, it's very interesting subject with, very well cast and very well made and great cinematography. In an age that, it's funny. It's like very extreme, yet very polished. Like we were mentioning things earlier that are funny, but they're very true. Like, a Polar Express, or like Sahara, it's the 90s was like very polished. And then the early 2000s was like very polished, but very interesting cinematography. Like you're saying Bad Boys and everything, it really is a product of its time. It does have some weak aspects in my opinion with some of the, like, characters just showing their plot points instead of being characters. But overall, it's a really awesome film. It's great to watch. It's got so many good Easter eggs. If you watch this and you don't enjoy it, then I don't know who you are. Like, this has something for everybody in it, you know? So,
Yep, it does.
I mean, that being said, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. It's just awesome any day of the week, any day of the year. You can watch this on Christmas. You could watch this on your birthday. It doesn't really matter. It's a fun movie, you know? In a way, it takes a very, you know, hard subject to talk about and stuff, but it puts it in such a light.
Entertaining. How about that?
It's entertaining, you know?
There you go.
And it's cast perfectly, except for Jared Leto, who's an asshole. But
Jesus.
You guys, I think we're split here. I think it's Seth and Brian saying he sucks. Oh, Mike A, what do you think?
I don't mind him in the movie. I mean, that's why I said, like, are you talking about Jared Leto as a person? Because yeah, I agree. Jared Leto as a human being is a fucking creep and a weirdo. But
yes,
in terms of
I agree.
Yeah, in terms
Yes.
of like, his character and his performance in this movie, I don't mind it.
Yeah, same.
So there's a difference.
Yes.
I would just say he's the weakest link of the casting.
You
aspect
Bury
of
me,
it.
bury me.
So, you know,
I'm finished with you.
it's fine. Yeah, I just won't be casting him any of my shit.
Just don't confuse him with Jay Leno, and then it'll just be really weird.
It's not really hard, you know. One has talent, one doesn't. I don't know.
The Crimson Chin has talent.
Hey, he made a lot of money.
He owns
moving on.
cars.
He does.
He's
Okay,
got
actually,
beautiful
I'll
cars. So
I'll take that back.
Okay.
You don't have to cut that.
hey man,
Fuck
late
it.
night
No,
Don't
TV.
come after me with his chin.
Late night TV. You know, well, there's
The
less.
mandible of might is not going to be able to do anything to you.
Oh my! I forgot about
The mandible.
I love.
of
Yes,
might.
thank you. Yes.
That is
Yes.
funny.
The
I
mandible
passed the
might.
talking pillow to fellow Jared Leto fan club owner Seth.
Well, I gotta say, this movie's I think it's a classic. I think it's given itself the title of a classic movie just because it's we've obviously all, you know, at least some of us have seen it before we even decided to do this episode. You know, cinematography fantastic. The story in it of itself is fucking great. I think that's like a great avenue to tap in because it hadn't really been done before. Casting, I probably would have gone a different route. Fuck you, Jared Leto. Nick Cage,
Jesus.
I'll let it slide because you're Nick Cage. Ethan Hawke, fantastic. And again, it's like, why, you know, Owen Wilson in Behind Enemy Lines. Who the fuck made that decision? You could have, you had a whole list of about 800 million Hollywood pedophile actors you could have picked from, and you chose Owen Wilson.
There's a reason why I didn't do the episode where they watched that movie. It's just-
Brian and I think that movie is a classic.
I think it. All right.
Well, you know what? Wow.
It's a very interesting
Wow,
film for its time.
Seth, wow.
Just
Oh,
because it's
wow.
funny to talk about. Like, yeah, I know what you mean, Owen Wilson for that role, but it's like,
I got shot down over Bosnia. I mean, it's incredible.
where's my?
He's crazy as a road lizard. I mean,
Slowly take off your. Where's your
Seth has
tattoo?
got the impressions, dude. Jesus.
They're listening to the American music in the back of this truck. It's incredible.
all right. I passed the torch to.
No,
You gotta
penis.
finish your review, man.
I did.
Finish your fucking review. Give it a
hates
fucking
Oh,
Jared
I
score.
gave it a
Leto.
score. Okay, I forgot to do that. All right, I give it.
Yes.
I give it 8.3 Jared Letos out of 10.
Fuck you.
Right back at you, pal.
We got 8.3 Letos. Okay, you're not letting
Yeah,
that go.
you lose your fucking virginity with that finger, huh?
I can give you a good time with these fingers. Don't worry.
Oh God.
The sexual tension between us, Mike, is just.
It was rough
immeasurable.
on set.
Oh, man.
Let's be honest.
You guys
It
should
was
have
rough.
been there.
This
That-
brings
it was
5-figure
like-
discount to a whole new meeting. You know,
I'm definitely a power top, so you would have been hurting.
power bottom.
Made your fucking ass.
Become Flat
Let's,
Stanley, yeah.
Yeah, let's get.
Stop making my
Flat
job
Seth.
harder.
Oh shit. Forgot. That's
For-
not appropriate.
As a disclaimer for people that don't know, we all shot a documentary together last month. So
Oh yes,
yeah,
we did.
yeah.
We sure
Yeah,
did.
That was It was a very
All right,
stressful
so-
experience. So.
We explored World War II and then each other's bodies.
By other
Yeah,
each
you
other's
guys-
bodies,
you
we
guys-
mean Seth's anus.
Well, Seth got to see, and
like-
and Chris got to see my flabalanche in real life.
Oh, it
So
was
I
a sight
like,
to
I'm
see.
not wearing a fucking shirt. I'm fucking
I
hot.
never knew that Osmosis Jones is a
Blanche.
real person that lives in a body.
Oh. Oof.
Only 90s kids
Oof.
remember that.
Oof.
Going for the
That was-
millennial
that was-
jugular tonight.
Christ, fuck, man. Like, I don't know if I can recover from that one.
Some icy hot on that. Jesus.
That was
Yeah.
great.
All right, so Seth, who you pass the talking pillow to?
How about my boss man, Mr. Cruz?
I think I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. Because I think it's just an overall classic movie. There are multiple ways you can rate films. You can really go into the semantics of it and be like, oh, well, these were BZ-58s, and oh, this was a Glock Gen 2, but it should have been a Gen 1 or something. But I think at the end of the day, it was an entertaining movie. I think it had a powerful storyline. I think at the end of the day, I really did like Nicolas Cage as the casting, and I think Jared played a really good cokehead. So I think that the casting choices were good. I think the story was good. I don't think it was a waste of time at all. I think it was an enjoyable film, and I think it's one of those that, especially if you haven't seen it for the first time, that it's definitely well worth seeing and not putting off like forever.
Well said.
And let me pass this off to Mike B.
Yeah, what you just said is, yeah, it's a very good film, and like I still, it holds up. Like, again, there's a lot of films that we've done on this podcast that I've seen years ago. I watch it again and I'm like, oh, that's a fucking bag of smashed assholes. Like, it's just not good, right? But this one, I'm still like, I enjoyed watching it today, and I haven't seen it in years, and it's like, yeah, it holds up. I agree. Jared Leto plays a great cokehead, and that's kind of the role he was supposed to play, and he did it well.
Born to play.
What?
Born to play. I'm agreeing with you. Go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. you.
Yes, I know you are, dickhead. But now I just lost my train of thought.
I've got
so-
this
but
map
anyway,
of Los Angeles County. I'm gonna start a Ventura.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck. I'm trying to. Fuck you both. Fuck the two of you.
Mike B, it's a map of Ukraine. Okay.
I'm gonna start a Crimea.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Okay,
in here
so-
in Odessa.
Odessa, yeah.
It'll change over
Oh,
there,
just,
Kiev.
yeah, go Brian blowing out his fucking mic. Good luck with that one, Nate.
I
That'll be
know.
fun.
That'll be
right?
Snippy snip.
Look what you fucking caused. See what you did? That's great. I hope you're happy. Enjoy. Anyway, so yeah, I agree with Brian, Seth, and Kus, which means pussy in Arabic. But I just missed the R, I guess. But no, I agree. Like, the casting, I thought was very good, and I thought Jared Leto, like, yeah, I know he's a fucking weirdo in real life and whatever, but like, I thought if anybody's gonna play this role of like, because it's such a dichotomous relationship. It's like you got Nick Cage who's playing Yuri, and then you've got Veet, who is just a complete opposite of him, even though they're brothers. He's just like fucking a wild card on drugs, fucking just whatever. And then you got this guy that's really pulled together. I think that worked out well. Anyway, the history behind it, yeah, and like Kus said, a lot of films will go into like the really like small niche details. I combined the two phrases. Did you notice that?
I did
Niche?
notice that.
No, so niche details, like, yeah, okay. So we're gonna pick apart this helmet, this fucking uniform, this gun. However, if a film is this well made and well shot, that's easily forgiven. Easily, 100%. So the story was good. It's not really boring. It carries through. It fucking. I don't think there's really a dull moment. I couldn't really pinpoint a dull moment because it's all relevant and it all keeps moving. So, long story short, the reason I said fuck you, Seth, is because I was literally in my head going to score it an 8-3.
Hey, great minds think alike.
So, but yeah, solid 8-3 out of 10. Definitely worth the watch if you have never seen this. If you lived under a fucking rock like Michael has, which I'm going to pass this to after this. But I love this film. I would not hesitate to show this to anybody that I know. Like it's so entertaining, and like I think I forgot who said it, but like I think it was you, Nate, that said there's something in it for everyone, or was that you, Brian?
I believe it's me.
Yeah, and there's
I'll
something in
take
it for
credit.
everyone. Yeah, of course you will. And it's like it's just and I think Nick Cage was very well cast because, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, Nick Cage is all about Nick Cage, right? It might not be that way in real life. It might just be a whatever thing that comes across to me, but he's all about Nick Cage, and he plays himself, and he seems like a very kind of like self-centered guy. I don't know the guy, so I don't know, but if that is the case, he was cast perfectly because he played this role so well. It's so believable. And I just loved it. Like his family falls apart. He doesn't give a shit. Even at the end, he goes, no, actually, let me tell you how this is going to go. You got me. Yeah, fucker. But this is how
We
it's gonna
forgot to
go.
talk about the ending. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like the ending was fucking awesome. That was such a cool way to end the movie. Because you think it's all
Yep.
over, and then it's just like he was in control the whole time.
Well, again, they keep saying throughout the whole thing, it's a Jewish saying, but like there's always somebody up above, right? And that definitely comes through with him because, yeah, he gets caught. He gets caught red-handed. Ethan Hawke's character knows that. Valentine, he knows that. He goes, I got you, fucker. And this is my moment. And he goes, no, it's not. And I thought, I don't think anybody else could have played that scene better than Nick Cage and Ethan Hawke. I don't think they could have.
And I do like that juxtapose of the editing where it's flashing forward to how he's
Exactly.
reacting to that. Yeah. And I will say, Mike B, have you seen the new Nick Cage movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent?
Nope.
Please watch that and get back to me.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't think you'd enjoy it.
Okay. Yeah. Message me once we're
I
done
will.
with
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
Just
Because
message me
it's
and then-
Nick Cage to the 10th, like the nth degree, and I think you'll like it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, solid 8.3. I was gonna go a little higher. There was just a couple things that I don't know. It glossed over so much shit that I think they could have done better. Like the details of like the transactions and shit like that. More of that. But again, you only have so much time, so I understand that. But that's the only reason it didn't get a higher score. But it's not a bad thing at all. 8.3 is fucking high for this podcast. So anyway, Mike A, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, first time seeing it. For a solid 2-hour long movie, it never bored me, and so that's pretty good right there. And yeah, I thought it was an interesting study of not only this world of this business, but also the type of person who is involved in it. And yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was really good. Don't know if I have anything else to say. I didn't mind Nicholas. I know Seth was kind of like, Nicolas Cage, whatever. But I actually thought this was one of his good performances. And so yeah, because again with Nicolas Cage, it's like it's one end or the other. Sometimes you're gonna get something great. Sometimes you're gonna get something so bad you can't even believe it. But in this case, I thought he was the right guy for the job, and yeah, so I thought it was damn good. I'm gonna give it just a solid 8.
So yeah, so like going into it, like it's been like 10 something years, and I for the first time in a while, I actually was excited about watching a movie this week. Not that I haven't been excited. It's just we've done a lot of movies recently where I either haven't seen it and it's kind of like how Mike B said, like I know this will probably be like a bag of smashed assholes, or I've never seen it. But I knew what I was going to be watching tonight. I knew what to expect tonight, and I enjoyed it a lot. And that's what I mean. It's just we haven't had a movie in a while. I think the only thing that's going to maybe do that would be The Patriot, which is going to be super fun
Fucking awesome.
to
just
fight.
watched it. I just watched it.
And so that's what I mean. It's like to come back to something that I knew was so good in terms of what I like out of a film. And I think the common theme here is entertainment. What everyone has been saying, it's an entertainment film. It is also a war film in a way, but it's entertainment. It's interesting. again, I won't repeat everything I said, but cinematography, wonderful. Editing, wonderful. Actually, one real quick. The sounds I did not like. There are some canned sounds in there that bothered me, and I'm surprised Mike A didn't comment on that.
Say what? Sorry.
But canned sounds.
Like what? I didn't really pick up on that either.
Reloading sounds were so cut and dry, like archival library sounds.
Okay, I didn't hear any
especially in the CG scene.
I usually pick up when it comes to those specific sound effects. I usually pick up ones that I remember from video games from when I was a kid.
Right.
I didn't pick up.
It wasn't video.
Yeah.
It wasn't video game sounds, but they're archival.
Okay, ones that
sounds
you've
for
heard
sure.
before somewhere else.
Yeah. So that was the only thing I noticed, but it doesn't detract from my score. It's just something to talk about. But no, what everyone said, acting, casting, I'm on board with Jared Leto being a good choice for this and picking the role it was. Outside of the movies, guy's weird. But I would have to say tonight's going to be, I would say, an 8.5 out of 10 Screaming Mel Gibson's. I want to give it a 9, but there's just a few little things that just hold it back, and I don't think it deserves a 9, but it definitely deserves an 8.5. So that's where I'm at.
Decent. So putting all the scores into the computer that will tell us if we can actually buy an AK-47 on the market today. We get a grand score of 8.35 out of 10. So watch it. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Yeah.
If you have seen it, watch it. If you haven't seen it in a while, watch it. Watch it. It's a great movie. It's just
don't fuck up the borscht.
Don't fuck it up. Keep on stirring. But no, it's a really great film. And I really want to thank you, Seth and Cruz, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I hope you guys had some fun. And for those that don't know, Mike B obviously has his surplus store, but Cruz and Seth are part of Kudishi, which is this awesome, as I fuck up the name probably, sorry. But this awesome surplus store, and these guys are doing really cool fucking shit to, bring more stuff to the market. They have really cool smocks. They're doing really awesome stuff. Get things in the hands of collectors that, really matter. It's tons of stuff from Ukraine and things. So if you guys haven't heard of them, please check them out. Just really cool. Keep on doing what you're doing. And Seth, Dry Ice, next video, I'm holding you to that. So
yeah, that's Kruschiki, Kruschiki, not.
Yep, Instagram and everything.
All right, guys, you want some nice military surplus? We have a very, very nice selection. If you visit our website, we've got things from all around the world, all different eras, a lot of stuff from the Cold War. So please, if you are interested in cheap surplus, go to Kruschiki.com.
If you want to hear more of this guy, he sounds like he's on a fighter pilot helmet mic right now.
Roger that, over.
It's going to be a miracle if I can make it sound great, but we'll see.
I'm thinking now, and you know what? I have my lapel mic, Brandon, for work in my bag right here next to me. I could just fucking use that
thanks
the
a lot,
whole
man.
time.
Faggot 02, Faggot 02. This is Romeo 8 Juliet. Need copy, over.
I don't have to put any VFX on your end. So there you go.
I was hoping you were going to read your ad like Nicolas Cage, like.
Oh, no, you got to do it as Owen Wilson.
As Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson. Owen.
Hey, can we get an Owen Wilson outro?
Yeah, do it. Do an
Gosh,
Owen Wilson ad.
Scuttlebutt's just incredible. I mean, it's really something. It's crazy as a road lizard, that Brian guy. I mean,
he has a road lizard.
Just why doesn't he work anymore?
I've been called a lot of things, but that's not one of them. But thank you so much for your time, guys. We'd love to have you on again. And now the only question is, how do we arm the other 11? Catch you guys next week.
We'll find out in the apparent sequel that's being made of this movie.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
speaking of sequel,
yes.
Yeah. It starts this year. He is playing the same character, and what's
Bill Skarsgård is his son.
Bill Skarsgård is playing the son.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a rating. Otherwise, Mel Gibson won't stop screaming. If you like this content, make sure to check out our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages. If you want to directly support our work, make sure to check out our Patreon. All these links are in the description below. Until the next time, Scuttlebutt out.